Chapter 2793. Never had he imagined that the sky-piercer Blood King Vine's main body would actually cross over from the depths of the chaos where the Xeno race resided. As soon as he heard the voice of the sky-piercer Blood King Vine's main body, Su Feng's entire body trembled, and he instinctively intended to flee. The sky-piercer Blood King Vine was a top life form born from within the chaos, and it possessed a practically undying existence. Moreover, it possessed the ability to pierce through the heavens and the earth, and it was capable of easily devouring an entire profound world. Su Feng had once entered into a battle with the sky-piercer Blood King Vine within the well of Godblood. If it wasn't for the fortune spider and the life-shrinking technique that he'd grasped, Su Feng would have perished at that time. Moreover, that was merely a strand of the sky-piercer Blood King Vine's consciousness. Now that the sky-piercer Blood King Vine's main body had descended, how could Su Feng not be afraid? While the sky-piercer Blood King Vine's evil and arrogant voice was still reverberating, numerous blood-colored strands surged out from within the blood-color vortex and swiftly transformed into blood-color vines that fused into one with the blood-colored vortex, causing the vortex to transform into a passageway formed from blood-colored vines. The destructive bolts of lightning formed from the Jiuquan laws blasted onto the blood vines over and over again. Even though they incinerated large amounts of blood vines without end, the blood vines that possessed formidable vitality swiftly recovered and stabilized the passageway. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The blood vines completely devoured the lives of those 365 Tao Lords through the chaos grand formation of the heavens. After they obtained the lives of so many cultivators, the blood vines started to grow madly. And in the blink of an eye, they grew vigorously from within the blood-color vortex and transformed into a few tens of thousands of blood vines that interweaved together and blotted out the sky, causing the entire sky to transform into a blood-red sky. For a time, the blood vines danced about while evil flames surged into the sky. The blood-red pupils of the old man from the unbounded solar path flickered with a hale and hearty glow as he knelt down in midair towards the sky-piercer Blood King Vine's main body. Hiss! One of the blood vine's branches suddenly shot out and pierced through the old man's chest. The old man was instantly astounded. I nurtured a seed with my quintessence aura and gave it to you, yet you allowed it to perish. What's the point of keeping you alive? Hiss! In the blink of an eye, the blood, energy, and cultivation of the crimson-eyed old man were completely devoured, and they turned into ashes that drifted away. A peerless expert who was even more powerful than Executioner Granny was easily killed by the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot-Tan. What kind of alien life form is that? How could it be so powerful? Sky-piercing blood vine? The alien race is actually able to cultivate such an astonishing heaven-piercing blood Rot-Tan. That's not an ordinary heaven-piercing blood vine, but a heaven-piercing Blood King Vine. Let's go. Many geniuses were shocked and aghast. Gu Tianchi recognized the origin of the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot-Tan and was trembling in fear. The genius from the Firmament Sword School flew away like a bolt of lightning on a flying sword. A bunch of human ants. The disdainful voice of the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine was emitted from the blood vines that filled the sky. Immediately, a blood vine pierced into nothingness before it was suddenly withdrawn. The fleeing genius of the Luo Shao Sword School was entangled by the blood-red vines and was devoured in less than 3 breaths. Heaven Pavilion disciples, let's go. Dong Xianjun sucked Dong Xinzheng and the other geniuses from Heaven Pavilion into the Holy Ji Palace, then activated the talisman treasure. The Elder's shadow turned into a long river of chaos, circling around Dong Xianjun before disappearing into the void. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. 3 blood vines shot out at the same time, piercing through the shackles of space and chasing after Dong Xianjun Puff. The 3 blood vines quickly retracted. This time, not only did they fail to catch Dong Xianjun, but they were also broken. As expected of a genius from Heaven Pavilion, even the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine couldn't do anything to him with such a powerful talisman treasure. Of course, That was also because the heaven-piercing Blood King vine didn't take these geniuses seriously and didn't use its full strength in a moment of carelessness. Su Fong, this heaven-piercing Blood King vine isn't something we can fight against. I'll take you away. Gu Tianqi secretly transmitted his thoughts to Su Fong. Su Fong was surprised. "You're going to save me?" Gu Tianqi replied, "Previously, I sealed you with the art of great taboo. That was a grudge between you and the sect. Now, it concerns the human race. You are a rare genius in the Eastern Xian Divine region. If you die here, it will be a great loss to the human race. Of course, I have to save you." Su Fong looked at the blood vines and the stabilized passageway, hesitation showing in his eyes. The foreign race's army hasn't arrived yet. It's still not too late to stop them. Only we can stop them. If we leave, the foreign race's army will enter the heaven-forsaken wasteland endlessly. The situation will be out of control. Not only the heaven-forsaken wasteland, the entire Dongxian will be plunged into a boundless catastrophe. Gu Tianqi raised his eyebrows. "You don't know how terrifying the heaven-piercing Blood King vine is. The situation is irreversible now. It's not something we can stop. When the Eastern Xian Divine region's supreme existences arrive, I'm afraid everything will be set in stone. Let's go. The foreign race's invasion will be handled by Heaven Pavilion and the other supreme existences. Is the situation irreversible now?" Su Fong stared at the passageway, formed by the blood vines and the crimson vortex. There was no longer any hesitation in his eyes. Instead, there was an unparalleled determination and determination. "Su Fong, leave quickly." Gu Tianqi activated the immeasurable banishing ruler once again. The power of space enveloped him, Ling Xingqian, and the other geniuses around him. Although the situation is irreversible, I, Su Fong, don't believe it. No matter what, I have to try. Su Fong answered Gu Tianqi with certainty. Gu Tianqi's eyes were filled with disbelief, which quickly turned into admiration. The other geniuses were all stunned and confused. Ling Xingqian snorted disdainfully. "A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Overconfident. What a joke. Senior brother Gu Tianqi, Su Fong is willing to stay here and wait for death. Let him go. It'll be too late if we don't leave now. Brother Su Fong, take care." Gu Tianqi cupped his fists and bowed to Su Fong. His expression was solemn as he activated the immeasurable banishing ruler. Chi chi chi. Dozens of blood vines pounced towards Gu Tianqi and the others. Thousands of thoughts flashed out from Gu Tianqi's glabella. From the divine might of a Xian Bao, the power of the great taboo, shattering art erupted and sealed the dozens of blood vines for an instant. Gu Tianqi took the opportunity to activate the immeasurable banishing ruler. He tore apart the shackles of space and escaped into the chaotic space-time. In the sky above ancient Blue City, only Su Fong was left alone. Beside him was the sixth extreme, Dao, Saint Celestial Body. Shi Xian Daozu said faintly in his mind, "Su Fong, have you really made up your mind?" "Yes, master. Right now, only I can stop the invasion of the foreign tribes. Therefore, I have to do this." "Fine. Master can only risk damaging this thought and take action personally." "Master, there's no need for you to take action. I have my own way." Shi Xian Daozu was astonished. "You can deal with the heaven-piercing Blood King vines? I can burn the six extreme Dao, Saint Celestial Body, and destroy the world-crossing Profound Door. As long as the world-crossing Profound Door is destroyed, the foreign tribes will not be able to enter the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. Then, the heaven-piercing Blood King vines will no longer be a threat." It turned out that Su Fong was actually planning to sacrifice the six extreme Dao, Saint Celestial Body, to stop the invasion of the foreign tribes. Shi Xian Daozu asked, "The six extreme Dao, Saint Celestial Body, is your strongest reliance. Are you willing to destroy it?" "Of course not. Now that things have come to this, there's no other way. Actually, I've already thought it through. While the six extreme Dao, Saint Celestial Body, gives me great strength, it will also bring me great trouble. In order to stop the invasion of the foreign tribes, there's nothing to regret about sacrificing the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body. Shixian Daozu asked, "Why do you think so?" Right now, many people already know that I have the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body. Next, there will be countless experts who will think of ways to snatch it from me. Rather than that, why don't I use the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, in exchange for the merit of stopping the invasion of the foreign tribes and make my name known to the entire Eastern Profound Divine Domain? This way, the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion and the three Supreme Profound Sects will not dare to openly oppress me. Furthermore, the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, is very strong and far surpasses my own strength. However, it is still an external force. Master has already given me great help. If I still rely on external forces, how can I cultivate? Even if I don't have the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, I still have the traveling spider, the heaven-piercing blood king vine seed, the Joshuan limitless scripture, the heaven secret life shrinking technique, the heavens divination mystic unravel, and other peerless techniques and abilities. I, Su Fong, can still rely on my own strength to defy the heavens and rise in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. Su Fong said slowly. A surge of pride and a supreme, domineering aura rose spontaneously at this moment. QL 11-inch good. I have not misjudged you. You're qualified to be my direct disciple. Su Fong, as long as you can resolve this crisis, I will accept you as my direct disciple even if you fail your training in Dongxian. Shixian Daozu's words sent Su Fong into ecstasy. Shixian Daozu was the pinnacle existence in the Jioshuan divine domain. He had countless registered disciples, but not many direct disciples. Sacrificing the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, in exchange for the identity of Daozu's direct disciple was a huge gain no matter how one looked at it. In fact, Su Fong's intention to sacrifice the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, was to move Shixian Daozu. Su Fong was not an idiot. Shixian Daozu was his backing to establish himself in the Jioshuan divine domain and to step onto the pinnacle of cultivation. How could he not put in all his effort? As expected, Shixian Daozu was moved by Su Fong's decision and personally made a promise to Su Fong. How could Su Fong not be overjoyed? BZZT. The realm-crossing mystic door suddenly trembled, indicating that there were foreign experts crossing over from the chaotic space and time. I can't delay any longer. Su Fong transferred all the spiritual beings born in the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, to the Taoist palace and sealed them. It was a pity that the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body's thoughts would fade away quickly once they left the body. It was useless even if they were transferred over. Then, Su Fong activated the six extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, and went straight for the realm-crossing mystic door. Ant, you didn't run for your life, but instead, you're thinking about the realm-crossing mystic door? The surprised voice of the heaven-piercing blood king, Vine, came from the blood vine in the sky. Why should I run for my life? Su Fong smiled domineeringly. Chapter 2794. The heaven-piercing blood king Vine's mother body did not even care about Su Fong and the six extreme Tao Saints avatar. You're not afraid of my Tao Saints avatar, but I wonder if you are afraid of this thing. Su Fong sneered and released the Lux Spider from his body. Lux Spider. I understand now. You are the human ant that killed my descendant. The heaven-piercing blood king Vine's mother body recognized Su Fong's identity through the Lux Spider. It was instantly shocked and furious. The blood sky that was formed by the blood vines started to rumble violently. Its child was killed by Su Fong, and its own fate was devoured by the Lux Spider. Furthermore, its consciousness was wiped out by the heaven secret life shrinking technique. Even its main body was injured. How could it not be angry? Killed your child? No, I didn't kill him. Su Fong raised his right arm, and a blood vine surged out from his palm. His entire right arm instantly turned into a blood vine, and it danced towards the heaven-piercing blood king, Vine's mother body. He wanted to anger the heaven-piercing blood king Vine so that he could take advantage of the situation. Although the mutated races were strong, their intelligence was far inferior to humans. They were easily angered and entered a state of madness. As expected, the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine was completely enraged. Damn human ant, you actually merged with my child. Ah, I will kill you. No, I will not kill you. I will refine your physical body and avatar into a puppet and give your soul to the devil nightmare race. I will let your soul be tormented in fear for eternity. Chi, chi, chi. The entire blood sky was surging. Even the blood vines that merged with the world-crossing Mystic Gate were all rushing out. The blood vines covered the sky and surged towards Su Fong like a tidal wave, wanting to devour Su Fong completely. Who knew? The lightning that was formed by the Jiuquan's heavenly laws lost the suppression of the blood vines and exploded once again. It surged out from the void and drowned the blood vines and the world-crossing Mystic Gate in endless lightning. The realm-crossing profound gate was quickly suppressed and rapidly shrunk. Countless vines of the heaven-piercing blood vines were also destroyed by the might of the Jiuquan's heavenly laws. How could the heaven-piercing Blood King Rotan's main body care about Su Fong? It erupted with all its strength to resist the power of the Jiuquan heavenly laws. The sky above the entire ancient blue city was flickering with monstrous lightning and waves of blood. Layers upon layers of the void were shattered amidst the violent vibrations. Now, Su Fong decisively seized the opportunity and transmitted his primordial spirit to the spider. Hiss! Hiss! The Lux spider shot out threads of nothingness, entangling the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine's vines, and then crazily devouring its fortune. The heaven-piercing Blood King Rotan's mother body was extremely powerful, and its vitality was astonishing. It was almost immortal, and under the suppression of the Jiuquan's heavenly laws, it could still recover rapidly. However, the Lux spider devoured its luck. No matter how strong its life was, it could not make up for the loss of luck. Fortunately, the Lux spider was still in its infancy. If it was an adult Lux spider, it would quickly devour all of its luck, and it would be better to wait until its luck ran out. Unfortunately, the heaven-piercing Blood King Rotan did not have a good way to deal with the Lux spider. It could only split off a portion of its blood vines to entangle Su Fong. Swoosh! 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 The heaven-piercing Blood King Rotan's blood poison burst out at the same time, turning into billowing poisonous fog that spread in all directions. The poisonous fog was extremely shocking. It corroded the space and even the energy and laws in the space, turning them into nothingness. As long as Su Fong was killed, the Lux spider would not be a threat anymore. Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed. Just as he was about to activate the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body, a figure suddenly appeared in the space in front of him. Gu Tianqi. He did not expect Gu Tianqi to return. Su Fong was shocked and shocked. He transmitted his primordial spirit to Gu Tianqi. Gu Tianqi, why are you back? You stayed behind to stop the invasion of the foreign tribes. Am I, Gu Tianqi, not as good as you? Gu Tianqi's face was brimming with a domineering smile. I have already contacted the experts of the sect, not only the three highest profound sects, but also the Heaven Pavilion and other top experts of the Eastern Profound Divine Domain are all rushing towards the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Hence, I have decided to come and help you. I will delay as long as I can. As he spoke, Gu Tianqi casually threw out a rune talisman. The rune talisman that seemed to be thrown out carelessly exploded with a shocking power that could freeze time in a large area. The poison fog that covered the sky and the blood vines that swept over instantly fell into a strange state of stillness. As expected of the number one disciple of the three highest profound sects, a rune talisman that he casually took out was actually so powerful. Gu Tianqi then looked at Su Fong and said with a smile, "Also, I am very curious. What kind of method do you have to resist the heaven-piercing Blood King Rotan and stop the invasion of the foreign tribes?" Speaking until here, Gu Tianqi suddenly sensed something from the spider. He looked at the spider with a puzzled expression in his eyes, which soon turned into incomparable shock. Ordinary cultivators would find it difficult to see the existence of the spider. However, the three highest profound sects had the three supreme divine abilities of heaven's will, time, and space. As the number one disciple, Gu Tianqi naturally had an extraordinary sensing ability. He could sense that the spider was extraordinary. That is, the legendary spider. Gu Tianqi's divine light instantly changed. Unbelievable. Too unbelievable. That's right. That is the legendary spider. Su Fang nodded and said. Then he smiled coldly at Gu Tianqi. In order to repay you for using the great taboo art to seal me, I originally planned to let the spider serve you well. Gu Tianqi could not help but shiver. His entire body turned cold. Su Fang suddenly smiled and said, But now, it seems that you are not a bad person. I will spare you this time. However, I will still settle the debt of sealing me. Gu Tianqi wiped the sweat on his forehead and snorted. As long as you don't use the spider, do you think I'll be afraid of you? Just as the two of them were conversing, the blood vines and blood poison that were restrained by the divine power of time, released by the rune talisman, finally corroded the power of the rune talisman layer by layer. They penetrated and attacked Su Fang and Gu Tianqi. Gu Tianqi's divine light changed. Su Fang, my rune talisman is also very limited. Moreover, the experts of the Eastern Xian divine realm will need time to arrive. If you have any powerful divine abilities, you better hurry up and use them. Otherwise, run for your life. Su Fang merged the Tao heart of the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body, and released hundreds of thoughts. The tidal wave of attacks sent the blood poison and blood vines flying. Then, the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body, took a step forward and instantly teleported to the front of the realm, crossing mystic door. The heaven-piercing Blood King, Vine's disdainful voice sounded. A lowly existence of the human race. A mere celestial body of a human expert wants to stop the arrival of a powerful foreign race. It's really laughable. At this moment, the realm crossing mystic door had already stabilized. Blood light and black qi continuously surged out from within. One could also hear evil and powerful laughter drifting out from within. It was unknown how many foreign race experts were coming from the depths of the chaos through the passageway created by the heaven-piercing Blood King, Vine's mother body, and the celestial chaos array formation. Go! Su Fang controlled the sixth extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, and stepped into the mystic door without hesitation. The thoughts and power within the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body, started to burn. The entire celestial body was burning with shocking flames. QL11 then, rumble. The flames that were burning from the sixth extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, caused the celestial body to start to prepare for a shocking explosion. The mystic door started to tremble. You actually want to burn the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body? Gu Tianqi was shocked. The sixth extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body's strength could kill ordinary experts who had surpassed the Tao Lord level. Moreover, as Su Fang's cultivation increased, the strength that it could unleash would become even stronger. Who would be willing to burn such a powerful celestial body? Su Fang said. In order to stop the foreign race and save the human race, sacrificing one celestial body is worth it. Gu Tianqi was instantly filled with respect, and the way he looked at Su Fang changed. In front of me, you won't have the chance to burn yourself even if you want to. The heaven-piercing Blood King, Vine sneered. Chi, chi, chi. Countless blood vines flashed out from the mystic door like streaks of blood-red lightning. They instantly pierced into the sixth extreme, Tao, Saint Celestial Body. The penetrative power of the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine was unparalleled. The sixth extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body's strong defense, was as weak as paper under the penetrative power of the blood vines. The blood vines quickly penetrated into the sixth extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, and turned into countless blood threads that instantly covered every corner of the celestial body. The surface of the sixth extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body's skin and face were instantly filled with strange blood runes. Even the internal space of the celestial body and the Tao heart were covered by the blood runes. It was like a seal that shackled the six extreme Tao Saint celestial body. The explosion that the six extreme Tao Saint celestial body was brewing, and the flames on the celestial body were instantly extinguished. Then, the heaven-piercing Blood King vine began to wantonly devour the energy within the celestial body. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine laughed maniacally. "Human race ant, how can your little tricks do anything to me?" Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More than 10 ghost frogs whizzed out from the mystic door. These ghost frogs were comparable to the mystic world's realm lord. They were more than 10 times stronger than the ghost frog that Gu Qianqi had killed previously. Then, a three-eyed giant that was 100 feet tall stepped out from the mystic door. Its entire body was emitting an evil and violent aura. There were also countless foreign races that were constantly passing through the mystic door. The invasion of the foreign races was unstoppable. Gu Qianqi's eyebrows furrowed as he said regretfully, "What a pity. Su Fang, let's retreat." "Retreat? Do you think that I, Su Fang, will be so stupid as to lose the six extreme Tao Saint celestial body for nothing?" Su Fang laughed coldly as a vicious glint flashed across his eyes. Then he activated the heaven's secret life shrinking technique. Ethereal and illusory light instantly enveloped the entire six extreme Tao Saint celestial body. The aura of the Tao runes also erupted as it passed through the six extreme Tao Saint celestial body and landed in the heart of the celestial body. This time, Su Fang did not use the heaven's secret life shrinking technique to erase or sever fate. He also did not use the life-leading karma thread to plant karma. Instead, he used the heaven's secret life shrinking technique to activate the seal in the heart of the six extreme Tao Saint celestial body. Chapter 2795. Back then, the six extreme Tao Saint had colluded with the foreign races to attack the Eastern Xian divine domain and angered the experts of the Jiuquan divine domain. He was killed by the heaven's secret life shrinking technique. Within his avatar, there were still remnants of the heaven's secret life shrinking technique in his heart, causing his avatar to wither away. Because of this, the six extreme Tao Saint's avatar would wither away sooner or later. This was his fate, and no one could stop it. This was also the reason why Su Fang wanted to sacrifice the six extreme Tao Saint's avatar. Using an avatar that was about to wither away to stop the invasion of the foreign races was a very worthwhile thing to do. Moreover, he had received the promise of a Shixian Daozu. At this moment, Su Fang had used the heaven's secret life shrinking technique and merged with the Tao heart and will of the six extreme Tao Saint's avatar. He triggered the heaven's secret life shrinking technique in the avatar's heart, causing its power to explode ahead of time. The power of the heaven's secret life shrinking technique was unparalleled. Moreover, the heaven's secret life shrinking technique in the six extreme Tao Saint's avatar was personally cast by the heaven's secret life shrinking technique. Now that it was triggered by Su Fang, the power it unleashed was 1,000 times, 10,000 times stronger than the heaven's secret life shrinking technique that Su Fang had used. A wave of withering and fading power of destiny exploded within the six extreme Tao Saint's avatar like a flash flood, causing the avatar to wither away rapidly. The avatar's heart started to shatter and die. Then, the space within the avatar started to collapse, and the avatar started to wither away rapidly. The power of destiny that came from the unseen world was unstoppable. At this moment, the heaven-piercing Blood King vine had fused with the six extreme Tao Saint's avatar and was crazily devouring its power. The withering power of the heaven's secret life shrinking technique caused the heaven-piercing Blood King vine to suffer greatly. QL11, the Blood King vine that had infiltrated the six extreme Tao Saint's avatar was corroded by the powerful withering power and instantly started to wither away and die. That was not all. The heaven's secret life shrinking technique targeted the illusory power of destiny. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine devoured the six extreme Tao Saint, causing his fate in the void to be tainted by the power of decay, causing the entire heaven-piercing Blood King vine to be corroded by the power of decay. Su Fong had already done his calculations and calculations. He used the heavenly secret life shrinking technique hidden within the 6 extreme Taoist saints' celestial body to borrow the force of the attack and heavily injure the heaven-piercing Blood King vine. The destiny divine ability of the heavenly fate stage. Damn it! How can this Dharma body release such a terrifying power? It's not something a puny human like you can use. It's from the heavenly fate stage. Ah, despicable human ant. I've been tricked by you again. The sky-piercer Blood King Rot Tan realized that it had been schemed against by Su Fong once more, and it was angered to the point of roaring repeatedly, and it was extremely furious and terrified. In the well of divine blood, it had been tricked by Su Fong. This time, it had been tricked by Su Fong again, and the losses it had suffered were so great that it was hard to estimate. It was definitely 10 times worse than the previous time. How could it not be furious? The power of decay quickly spread to all of the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot Tan's vines. The blood vines that covered the sky rapidly withered, and the entire blood dome formed by the blood vines was instantly covered with a layer of gray. The heaven-piercing Blood King Rot Tan's body was now connected to the space-time of the heaven-forsaken desolate region in the depths of the chaos, forming a passage with the formation. Now that it was heavily injured by the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, it could no longer stabilize the world-crossing profound door, and it was also unable to resist the continuous attacks of the Jiushuan's heavenly laws. It had no choice but to use all of its strength to resist the corrosion of the terrifying power of decay. At the same time, it tried its best to shrink its huge body out of the world-crossing profound door. Under the bombardment of the Jiushuan's heavenly laws and the pressure of the space-time dimension, the world-crossing profound door fell into turmoil, and then it started to collapse layer by layer. Many of those alien experts who were crossing over from the depths of the chaos through the profound world-crossing gate were crushed to death when the profound world-crossing gate collapsed. Only a few powerful experts who had mastered the power of space were lucky enough to escape into the chaotic space-time. However, even if they did not die, they were severely injured. Su Fong, how did you do it? You actually destroyed the world-crossing profound door. Gu Qianqi was dumbfounded, and he transmitted his primordial spirit to Su Fong. The collapse of the world-crossing profound door meant that the foreign race's plan to invade the Eastern Xian divine domain had been completely foiled. The one who caused all of this was a mere Dao monarch. How could Gu Qianqi not be shocked? Xian Daozu also praised, I didn't expect you to really do it. Using the power of the Jiushuan's heavenly laws, the power of the Heaven's Fate platform experts, the 6 extreme Tao Saint Dharma body, using all the power that can be used. Your scheming is not like a mere Dao monarch, and not like a young man who has cultivated for less than 1,000,000 years. You are an old monster who has lived for countless eras. Old monster? Su Fong touched the tip of his nose and chuckled. The ghost frogs and the 3-eyed giant who had already entered the space-time of the heaven-forsaken desolate region were stunned by the sudden change. They could not figure out what was going on. The 3-eyed giant asked stupidly, Lord Blood King Vine, why did you suddenly go crazy? Go crazy. The heaven-piercing Blood King Vine was so angry that the blood vines in the sky trembled violently. With a hiss, a blood vine stabbed into the 3-eyed giant's head and crazily devoured its life force. The 3-eyed giant, which was more than 300 meters tall, withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, it turned into ashes. The Blood King Vine, which was originally filled with the aura of death, recovered a lot after devouring an extremely powerful foreign race expert. The power of death brought about by the heaven's secret life shrinking technique was also weakened. The ghost frogs trembled in fear, afraid that the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine would treat them as nourishment and devour them. The heaven-piercing Blood King Vine roared angrily, Go, kill the human for me. If you can't kill him, I'll devour all of you. Dozens of ghost frogs charged towards Su Fong and Gu Qianqi swiftly. Rumble. Su Fong and Gu Tianxi were both geniuses on the Tianxian ranking. Once they were attacked by someone who surpassed the Tao Lord level, they would be obliterated by Jiuquan's laws. When the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine attacked the Dongxian geniuses earlier, it could naturally resist the obliteration of Jiuquan's laws with its unparalleled vitality and ability. These ghost frogs were far from the height of the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine. Caught off guard, they were struck by the lightning bolts manifested by Jiuquan's laws. Gu Tianxi, let's run for our lives. Take care of yourself. Remember, I'll make you pay back the debt you owe me, Su Fong, tenfold. Su Fong had long kept the spider into the space in his body and prepared a teleportation talisman at the same time. Shi Xian's Daozu had given him a total of 3 teleportation talismans. He had used one to break free from Gu Tianxi's shackles. He had to use another one this time, so there was only one left in his storage ring. As soon as he finished speaking, the teleportation talisman exploded with a spatial force that wrapped around Su Fong and teleported him out immediately, vanishing from the sky above ancient Blue City without a trace. Su Fong destroyed the realm-crossing Mystic Gate and successfully stopped the invasion of the other tribes. After today, his name will definitely spread throughout Dongxian, even surpassing me. No one can stop his heaven-defying rise. I've long known that he's extraordinary, but I didn't expect him to be so extraordinary. My days in Dongxian won't be so easy in the future. Gu Tianxi shook his head helplessly with a bitter smile and teleported away with the spatial talisman used to save his life. Chase after him. Even if you have to chase him to the east mysterious pavilion, you must capture that human ant for me. The ghost frogs were extraordinary as well. They recovered quickly after being bombarded by the Jiuquan's heavenly laws, but their auras were much weaker. Amidst the piercing Blood King Vine's furious roars, the dozen ghost frogs let out strange cries and chased after Su Fong. The piercing Blood King Vine used its strong vitality to consume the corrosive power of the divine fate shrinking art. After persisting for 3 days, the piercing Blood King Vine finally suppressed the power of decay. The piercing Blood King Vine's mother body had first depleted much of its life force due to the power of the Jiuquan's heavenly laws, then had its fortune devoured by the spider, and was almost killed by the power of the divine fate shrinking art. More than half of its life force had been consumed. Although the power of decay had been suppressed, the piercing Blood King Vine was still heavily injured. The sky was filled with the withered vines of the piercing Blood King Vine. They covered the sky and were filled with a terrifying aura of death and stillness. It was as though they had arrived at a world of death. The remaining piercing Blood King Vine was only 1/3 of its original size. Its aura was weak, and the monstrous evil flame was nowhere to be seen. The Jiuquan's heavenly laws had also stopped attacking the piercing Blood King Vine. That was because the piercing Blood King Vine's vitality had been greatly damaged. It was no longer a threat to the human race in the Jiuquan's divine realm. It had reached the point where it was no longer able to trigger the Jiuquan's heavenly laws. The remaining piercing Blood King Vine quickly shrunk and transformed into a black-robed woman. She looked to be about 17 or 18 years old. She had a flawless face that was delicate and beautiful. However, she had bunches of blood-red curly hair, which made her look extremely strange. Looking at the world-crossing mystic door that had completely collapsed and could no longer be reopened, the woman transformed from the piercing Blood King Vine gritted her teeth. I didn't expect that the plan that the foreign races had meticulously prepared would be destroyed by a human ant. I will definitely swallow your physical body and take your luck spider, following which her body swayed like a vine swaying with the wind. She flashed into the void and disappeared without a trace. Not long after the piercing Blood King Vine left, a figure stepped out from the void. It was an elder who was wearing a Taoist robe that looked like a sack. His face was full of wrinkles and his eyes were turbid. He looked like an ordinary elder who would die at any moment. The elder's turbid eyes looked into the void. His white brows furrowed. It looks like an earth-shattering battle has happened here. Why don't I see any traces of the foreign race's experts? The elder's eyes suddenly released a ray of divine light that landed in the void. In an instant, it caused time to flow backward. Everything that had happened in the void within a radius of 100,000 miles replayed. 6 Extreme Tao Saint. Heavenly Secret Life, Shrinking Technique. Luck Spider. It's the Luck Spider. Chapter 2796. No wonder even Gu Tianchi couldn't suppress this child. Other than the 6 Extreme Tao Saints, he also has the Luck Spider. The elder stroked his sparse beard. His eyes that were originally dull and lifeless were now shining with vigor. Humph. How can I let you go after killing my grandson? It's your own fault for being too stupid to burn the 6 Extreme Tao Saints' avatar and destroy the realm-crossing mystic gate. You've lost your strongest reliance. Not only will I take your head to pay for Zhangsun Yaoyang's life, I'll also take your Luck Spider. Once the Luck Spider falls into my hands, not only will I dominate Dongxian in the future, no one will be able to stop me even when I roam Jiushuan. The old man muttered to himself and sighed. His eyes became brighter and brighter. Then he took a step forward and walked directly into the void, suddenly disappearing without a trace. Half an hour later, a ripple suddenly appeared in the void, revealing 2 silhouettes. One of them was a middle-aged man dressed in a simple gray Taoist robe, looking kind and amiable. His aura was illusory and unpredictable. It was the Heaven Pavilion expert who had tried to capture Su Fong with the inverted yin-yang formation, Mr. Ida. The other was a white-robed youth who looked to be in his 20s. His white robe was as pure as snow, exuding a sacred aura that blended perfectly with his surroundings. Mr. Ida was a powerful expert from Heaven Pavilion. He was even more powerful than Executioner Granny. However, at this moment, in front of this white-robed young man, he was very respectful and cautious. I didn't expect that a mere Tao Monarch cultivator would be able to resolve such a calamity. Extraordinary. That cultivator named Su Fong is indeed extraordinary. His strength, ability, scheming, and submission are all outstanding among the younger generation. No wonder my foundation in Blood Valley's second city, Star Killer City, was destroyed by him in a single day. The white-robed youth exclaimed, revealing his peerless magnificence. Mr. Ida asked in confusion, Exalted One, this child destroyed your foundation in Second Star Killer City and killed your experts. Why are you praising him? Exalted One, this young white-robed man was none other than Mr. Yi's master, Supreme Elder Spring Autumn, a giant of the Eastern Profound Heaven Pavilion. I'm just sighing from the bottom of my heart. Exalted Elder Spring Autumn chuckled before sighing. It's not like the Eastern Profound Divine Realm hasn't produced such geniuses before. Unfortunately, the more talented a genius is, the faster they die compared to the mediocre ones. They're like shooting stars that flash by, or like a night-blooming cactus. Mr. E said, Su Fong is under the protection of Jiushuan's heavenly law and has stopped the invasion of the foreign tribes. It can even be said that they have saved the whole of Dongxian. If Supreme Holiness wants to attack him, I'm afraid. Jiushuan's laws? Even the Daozu has to be wary of the laws of heaven, let alone me. However, Su Fong was a genius on the heavenly profound yellow list. Even if he was killed, the punishment of the laws of heaven was still bearable. It was worth it to suffer a little loss for the sake of the spider. As for stopping the invasion of the alien races, Exalted Elder Spring Autumn chuckled when he said this. Then, he revealed the loftiness of an unparalleled expert. No matter how great the contribution is, it still needs the approval of the Heavenly Pavilion. Right now, I represent the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion. No matter how heaven-defying Su Fong's contribution is, if it's not acknowledged by me, it's not much of a contribution. You're right, Supreme Holiness. The only troublesome one is First Elder Chang's son of the 3 esteemed profound sects. However, since I've seen the spider, no one can interfere. Whoosh! Su Fong's figure flashed out of a space-time turbulence in the heaven-forsaken barren region. His robe was tattered and filled with holes from the corrosion of poison. His body was also covered in wounds that were difficult to heal. It was a ghastly sight. Once he appeared, Su Fong immediately took out 3 upper-class pills. They were all upper-class ancient pills bestowed by the Daozu of Shixian to heal his wounds. Damn ghost frog! Su Fong let out a long sigh of relief. It turned out that not long after Su Fong used the teleportation talisman to escape from ancient Blue City, he was pursued by the ghost frogs. Under the strict orders of the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot Tan, those ghost frogs completely disregarded the laws of Jiushuan and did not hesitate to exhaust themselves to kill Su Fong. There were more than a dozen ghost frogs. Each of them had the shocking strength of a human expert that surpassed a Dao master. They also had poison and shocking speed. Su Fong used the burning light escape technique, but it was still difficult to escape the pursuit of those ghost frogs. It was also thanks to Gue and the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot Tan's ability to devour poison. Moreover, the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot Tan gave Su Fong a shocking amount of life force. In addition, the spider and various other extraordinary abilities, especially the heaven's secret life shrinking technique, that Su Fong was able to escape. However, his injuries were not light. Moreover, the ghost frogs did not give him a chance to breathe and chased him relentlessly. He did not have time to recover. Go to Daoless City and enter the world where humans live. I don't believe that these foreign race monsters will dare to pursue me to Daoless City. Su Fong quickly made a decision. Little did he know that just as he made the decision, his divine light suddenly changed. He used all his strength to activate the Flaming Steps treasured boots. There was an explosion under his feet, and his figure flashed out like lightning. Chi! A red light broke through the sky and shot at the place where Su Fong was just a moment ago. The space was forcefully pierced and set off spatial fluctuations. Su Fong was also affected. He was shaken to the point that he staggered and spat out a mouthful of blood. Whoosh! 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 Numerous ghost frogs flashed out of nothingness. There were as many as 7 of them. In the process of pursuing Su Fong, 5 of them were killed by the laws of Jiushuan. These were the only ones left. A ghost frog stared at Su Fong, a pair of bloody eyes flashing with a cold, bloody light. Human race kid, let's see where you can escape to this time. Su Fong gritted his teeth and said, even if you can kill me, you won't be able to escape the punishment of the laws of Jiushuan. The ghost frog shouted, if you don't die, not only will the Blood King Vine not let us go, even our entire ghost frog race will be devoured by it. How can we not kill you? You want to kill me, Su Fong. How can I let you do as you wish? A 6-story pagoda phantom emerged from Su Fong's body. Tut, tut. In a world of humans, how can you foreign races be so arrogant? A voice full of killing intent suddenly came from nothingness. Then, Gu Qianqi's figure quickly appeared. Gu Qianqi. Su Fong was not surprised. He felt that Gu Qianqi was haunting him. No matter where he went, he would suddenly appear. Gu Qianqi smiled and said, the Supreme 3 mysterious sects control heaven's will and the Supreme space-time Tao. Moreover, I also have the Supreme tracking Xianbao like the heaven-searching mirror. As long as you're still in the heaven-forsaken desolate region, it won't be too difficult to find you. Su Fong reminded, these ghost frogs are very difficult to deal with. You have to be careful. I naturally know how powerful these foreign race monsters are. Although I can't kill them all, it's easy to help you escape. Gu Qianqi said proudly. 2 human race kids, you dare to be so arrogant when you're about to die. The leader of the ghost frogs let out a bell-like cry. The sound contained a terrifying power that could attack one's Tao heart and will. This was also the innate ability of the ghost frogs. If it was an ordinary cultivator, just this frog cry would shatter their Tao heart and cause their will to collapse. Then, they would be at the mercy of the ghost frogs. However, Su Fong and Gu Qianqi were not ordinary cultivators. Su Fong had the colorful Jade Tao heart, while Gu Qianqi was the number 1 disciple of the Supreme 3 mysterious sects. He cultivated the will of heaven's will, and his Tao heart even surpassed Su Fong's. The terrifying impact of the frog cry only caused Su Fong and Gu Qianqi's bodies to sway for a moment before returning to normal. Puff, puff, puff. The seven-headed ghost frogs took a deep breath and their stomachs rapidly expanded. Then, they opened their mouths and spat out a shocking amount of poisonous smoke. In an instant, it enveloped Su Fong, Gu Tianqi, and the surrounding space. Chi chi chi. Under the cover of the poisonous smoke, the seven-headed ghost frogs spat out a bloody light from their mouths at the same time. Of course, it was not an ordinary bloody light, but the ghost frogs' tongues. When they shot out from their mouths, they were comparable to peak-grade Xian swords. Great forbidden art. Gu Tianqi released more than 300 thoughts in one breath, releasing a power that could seal everything. It exploded and sealed the surrounding space. The poisonous smoke and the ghost frog's tongues were also shackled. However, the poisonous smoke the ghost frog spat out was truly shocking, and these ghost frogs were stronger than Gu Tianqi. The poisonous smoke was continuously wearing down the power of the great forbidden art. The ghost frog's tongues were also continuously vibrating, shaking off the shackles. Facing the attacks of the seven-headed ghost frogs, the great forbidden art's effect was very limited. Gu Tianqi prepared to flee. These ghost frogs are not something we can deal with. Also, even if we kill them all, it is meaningless. Su Fong flipped his right hand, and a teleportation seal appeared in his hand. This was the last teleportation seal. Shi Xian Daozu had given Su Fong 3 teleportation seals to save his life. He did not expect to use them all so quickly. Suddenly, a whirlwind appeared out of nowhere and blew past the seven-headed ghost frog without any warning. In an instant, time reversed on the seven-headed ghost frogs. Those strange and vicious ghost frogs quickly shrunk, turning from adult to infant, and then into incubation. They turned into balls of blood before they stopped the reversal of life. The great abhina of the 3 highest profound sects, the life-stealing reversal art. However, compared to the life-stealing reversal art that Gu Tianqi had used before, it was 100 times stronger. What was different was that the life-stealing reversal art could quickly turn life from incubation to adulthood. What was happening right now was reversing life from peak to incubation. Gu Tianqi's light changed as he secretly sent a thought to Su Fong. Chief Elder Chang's son has come. Su Fong, run. Never mind, in front of Chief Elder Chang's son. With your strength, you have no chance of escaping. Chief Elder Chang's son? Chapter 2797. I'm going to be in trouble. Su Fong smiled bitterly. His luck seemed to be running out recently. First, he lost his Dao Saint Dharma body. Then, he was chased by the ghost frogs. Now, he had to face great Elder Zhang Sun of the 3 supreme profound sects. Zhang Sun Yaoyang had died on the blood slaughter stage in the 2nd city of Blood Valley. How could great Elder Zhang Sun let Su Fong go? Although he had been killed by the laws of the Jiushuan and not Su Fong himself, why would great Elder Zhang Sun listen to Su Fong's explanation? He had no choice but to face it head-on. Fortunately, I still have a teleportation talisman. However, the 3 supreme profound sects are proficient in the great Tao of space. That great Elder Zhangsuan's strength is unfathomable. I don't know if the teleportation talisman that Master gave me can be used to teleport. Su Fong secretly held the teleportation talisman tightly. He could activate it at any time. However, he did not have much confidence in escaping. After all, he was about to face the top experts of the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. An old man's figure quickly appeared from the void. He wore a linen robe and had an aged face. He looked like a dying old man. Greetings, great Elder Zhang Sun. Gu Tianqi respectfully bowed to the person who was hugging him. The old man nodded lazily. Then, he reached out his hand and grabbed at the air. The 7-headed ghost frog's blood ball was sucked into the old man's long sleeve. You're Su Fong? Great Elder Zhangsuan's lifeless gaze landed on Su Fong. In an instant, Su Fong felt the surrounding time stop. Space froze. Even his thoughts stopped working. Great Elder Zhangsuan's tone became indifferent. My grandson, Zhang Sun Yaoyang. Although he was not very capable, his character was not bad. He was just a little overbearing. However, with his status, he naturally had the right to do so. Besides, even if he did something wrong, I should be the one to discipline him. I would not allow anyone to touch him. However, you killed him directly. Su Fang's entire body shivered. In front of such a strong opponent, he had no way to resist. He once again experienced the feeling of being a weakling. A life for a life. You kill my grandson, so I'll kill you. You should have no complaints, right? Great Elder Zhongsun narrowed his eyes, his gaze becoming fierce. Gu Tianqi suddenly shouted, "Great Elder, please wait." Great Elder Zhongsun said, faintly, "Gu Tianqi, I asked you to capture Su Fang, but you mixed with him and even called him your brother. Do you still have me, the Great Elder of the sect, in your eyes?" A supreme will press down on Gu Tianqi, causing him to stagger as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He gritted his teeth and said, "Great Elder, not only is Su Fang a peerless genius on the Tianxian ranking, he has also stopped the invasion of the other races not too long ago and resolved the calamity in the Eastern Xian divine domain. He has made a great contribution to Dongxian. Therefore, Great Elder, you cannot kill him." Outsider invasion? Grand Elder Changsun snorted disdainfully. "We're the outsider experts. Could it be the seven-headed ghost frogs that I suppressed just now? You are exaggerating. When we return to the sect, I will investigate your crime of lying about military intelligence. How dare you lie to me? Do you really think that I can't punish you, the top disciple of the sect?" Gu Tianqi was stunned. Lie? Su Fang immediately realized that Great Elder Zhongsun was planning to erase his contribution in stopping the invasion of Dongxian. If I hadn't sacrificed the 6 extreme Tao Saints avatars, the heaven-forsaken wasteland would have been occupied by the other races by now, and the calamity would have swept to the other mystical worlds. Now, the experts of the 3 profound sects want to erase my contribution with just a casual sentence. A sharp aura suddenly gathered in Su Fang's heart. Shixin Daozu's voice suddenly rang in his mind. Reality is like this. You will only appear to be important in times of danger, but when the danger is over, you will become insignificant. Besides, the experts of the 3 profound sects have a grudge against you, so it's not strange for them to want to erase your contribution. Not only the supreme 3 profound sects, but even the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion will probably not admit your contributions. Who asked you to have no backing and no power? You have made such a great contribution. Where will the face of these great powers go? Anger, dissatisfaction, conflict, regret, and even fear. Shixin Daozu continued. You have lost the 6 extreme Tao Saints avatars for nothing, without any benefits. Do you regret it now? Su Fang calmed down and replied, "No, I don't regret it. Even if I knew the result would be like this, I would still do it. I only want to do things with a clear conscience. Why should I care if they acknowledge me or not? There will be a chance. I will use my ability to prove everything. No matter how the outside world changes, as long as you stay true to your heart, this is the true essence of cultivating the heart. It's good that you understand this." Shixin Daozu did not speak again. He was also instructing Su Fang in his cultivation. The cultivation of the Tao heart was even more important than the cultivation of techniques and abhijna. If he had not promised to take Su Fang as his personal disciple, he would not have personally instructed Su Fang for such a small matter. At this time, Gu Tianqi shouted angrily. Su Fang did not hesitate to sacrifice his own strength to destroy the Transworld Profound Door and save the Eastern Profound Divine Realm. This disciple saw this with his own eyes. Great Elder Changsun smiled embarrassedly. Gu Tianqi, no matter how outstanding you are just a disciple of the 3 profound sects. Who would believe your words? Gu Tianqi said righteously, "The heavens are watching what people do. Other than this disciple who saw it with his own eyes, the laws of the Jiuxuan are also watching. Great Elder can seal this disciple's mouth, but can you seal the laws of the Jiuxuan?" Impudent! Great Elder Changsun shouted angrily. The terrifying pressure forced Gu Tianqi to kneel on the ground. His entire body trembled, and he could not muster the will to resist. Suddenly, a snort of laughter drifted out of the void, followed by the silhouettes of the Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn and Mr. E. Great Elder Changsuan's white brows furrowed. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn, I didn't expect you to come as well. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn? Seeing the familiar Mr. E and hearing Great Elder Changsuan's address, Su Fong understood the white-robed youth's identity. His heart sank into a bottomless abyss. This meant that he had to face two of the Eastern Profound Divine Realm's top giants. The chances of him escaping were very slim. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn nodded at Great Elder Changsun and said, Heaven's Pavilion received news that a foreign tribe has invaded Dongxian, so they sent this reputed one to the heaven-forsaken wilderness. Who knew that it was just like what Great Elder Changsun said? The Heaven's Pavilion disciples were making a mountain out of a molehill and exaggerating. It was just a false alarm. Su Fong's brows raised sharply. He did not expect Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn to be the same as Great Elder Changsun and conclude that the foreign tribe's invasion was false. It was equivalent to completely erasing Su Fong's credit. Erasing my credit means that they can punish me without restraint. I didn't expect Dongshuan's great giants to be so despicable. Su Fong's anger flared again. Great Elder Changsun was rather surprised by Exalted Spring Autumn's words. However, Exalted Spring Autumn's words were equivalent to confirming the matter and completely erasing Su Fong's contributions. Great Elder Changsun was naturally happy to see this happen. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn continued. This reputed one has finally left Heaven's Pavilion and come to the heaven-forsaken wilderness. I have some personal matters to deal with, and it's related to this child. Therefore, this reputed one plans to take him away. Great Elder Changsun, you won't object, will you? Take Su Fong away? Great Elder Changsun saw through Spring and Autumn's intention immediately. His face darkened. This child killed this reputed one's beloved grandson. How can this reputed one give away his enemy? Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn raised his brows and said casually, If so, this reputed one will take a step back and leave him to you. However, all the treasures on him were plundered from Blood Valley's second city, Star Killer City. They must be handed over to this reputed one. Great Elder Changsun chuckled. So Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn is also here for the item on this child. Su Fong understood at once. It turned out that these two peerless experts were not only here for revenge, but also for the item on him. What could make Dongshuan's top experts covet? Su Fong only had the luck spider. With their strength, it was not difficult for them to know that Su Fong had the luck spider. Is this the true face of Dongshuan's giants? Su Fong sneered inwardly, but he calmed down immediately. There was only one luck spider, and there were two big shots who wanted to snatch it away. With the two big shots fighting, Su Fong had an opportunity to take advantage of. It was not impossible for him to escape. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn transmitted his consciousness to Great Elder Changsun. Great Elder Changsun, since you've said it so clearly, this reputed one will also be frank. This reputed one wants the luck spider. What are your conditions? Great Elder Changsun refused to budge an inch. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn, this reputed one is also determined to obtain the luck spider. Whatever conditions you have, feel free to state them. As long as this reputed one can fulfill them, I won't hesitate even if I have to go bankrupt. It looks like there's no room for negotiation between the two of us. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn revealed the loftiness of an expert, an aura of yin and yang permeating the air. This reputed one has long heard that Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn cultivates the true essence of yin and yang. Your strength is ranked in the top 10 of Heaven Pavilion, but I've never had the chance to spar with you. This is a rare opportunity. Let's exchange pointers. Great Elder Changsuan's voice rang out, the wrinkles on his face smoothing out one by one. His eyes shone brightly, and his entire body radiated an unparalleled, domineering aura, sweeping away the decadence from before. The two supreme giants drew their swords, ready to fight at any moment. High Holiness Spring and Autumn suddenly looked at Su Fong and transmitted his thoughts to Great Elder Changsun. This kid is cunning and cunning, and he has all kinds of tricks up his sleeves. For safety's sake, it's better to shackle him. When the battle between you and me comes to a conclusion, he and his spider will belong to whoever owns it. What do you think, Great Elder Changsun? Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn is right. Great Elder Changsun nodded, sending out a thought to shackle Su Fong. Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn smiled. Divine light swept out, and the black and white Xian Guang intertwined, forming a long river of chaos. Then, it quickly condensed into a chaotic bead that shot towards Su Fong. Chapter 2798. Su Fong was about to be shackled by the two Dongxian giants. Facing such peerless giants, Su Fong's Dao heart and what could be shattered with just a glance. He did not even have the chance to activate the teleportation talisman. The only thing he could do was to be shackled. I've miscalculated. These two peerless experts are cunning. How can they give me a chance to escape? Su Fong chuckled bitterly in his heart, completely giving up on resisting. Suddenly, sizzle, sizzle. Two beams of crimson light tore through the air and shot right into Supreme Elder Zhongxuan's and Supreme Elder Spring Autumn's thoughts. With two spluttering sounds, the two powerful thoughts were shattered instantly. The Tao rhythm and will contained within being devoured completely by the crimson light. Su Fong was shocked and bewildered. Upon closer inspection, the two beams of crimson light were actually two strands of crimson. The very familiar blood strands came from the mother body of the sky-piercing Blood King, Rot Tan. He did not expect the sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan to appear at this moment and stop the two Dongxian giants from shackling Su Fong. Sizzle, 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 sizzle. Vines shot out from the void and surged towards Supreme Elder Spring Autumn and Great Elder Zhongxun. The two Dongxian giants were startled as they cried out, "Sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan." Even with their strength, they had to be wary of the sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan, focusing all their energy to deal with its attack. Why did the sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan suddenly appear? But this is my chance to escape. Of course, Su Fong would not miss such a godsend opportunity. He crushed the talisman without hesitation. Shi Xian Daozu had given him a total of 3 teleportation talismans. He did not expect Su Fong to use them all in such a short time. It cannot be helped. Su Fong was only a Dao Lord now after all, while he was facing someone who surpassed Dao Lord and was Dongxuan's top expert. It was far beyond what he could handle, so he had to use the teleportation talisman to save his life. Swoosh! Su Fong was swept away by a Xian Guang, vanishing into thin air again under the noses of the two peerless giants and the sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan. Teleportation talisman? Furthermore, it is definitely not an ordinary teleportation talisman. It is 100 times more powerful than the spatial talisman that the special disciples of the 3 supreme mysterious sects use to protect their lives. Gu Tianqi was both shocked and astonished. Su Fong is as slippery as a loach. He actually escaped again. He's a cultivator from a low-level universe. How could he have such an amazing teleportation talisman? Damn it, he actually got away. Grand Elder Changsun and Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn were surprised. They hadn't expected a Dao Lord to escape from them just like that. You two experts of the human race won't even let off a junior of the same race who has just made a great contribution to the human race. How shameless. Su Fong is someone I must kill. How can I allow him to fall into your hands? The blood vines that were attacking Grand Elder Changsun and Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn quickly retracted and disappeared into the void. The sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan's smug voice gradually faded away. That sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan was injured by the power of the heavenly laws and the self-immolation power of the 6 extreme Tao Saints Dharma body. Its current strength is far from its peak state. It appeared this time to help Su Fong escape. Grand Elder Changsun realized that he had been frightened by the sky-piercing Blood King Rot Tan. He was so angry that his old face turned green. Damn it, Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn said casually. With me here, do you think Su Fong can escape? Immediately, a black and white Xian Guang flashed in his eyes. It followed the direction where Su Fong had disappeared and extended rapidly into the void, traversing the endless void in an instant. A moment later, Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn was shocked and surprised. The teleportation talisman's ability to traverse the void is dozens of times stronger than ordinary spatial talismans. His aura has suddenly disappeared as well. Grand Elder Changsun grabbed a Gu Tianqi and pulled out the omniscient Xinguang. He then activated the supreme tracking Xinguang to search for Su Fong's traces. Who knew? Su Fong seemed to have evaporated. Even the omniscient mirror could not capture Su Fong's current location. Humph! Even if I escape from Dongxian, I'll capture you. Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn was shrewd. He looked disappointed, but deep down, he was still determined to capture Su Fong. How could Grand Elder Changsun not feel the same way? Gu Tianqi suddenly said, "This disciple has something to remind Grand Elder and Lord Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn, lest you suffer a loss when the time comes." What is it? The two experts looked at Gu Tianqi with sharp gazes. Gu Tianqi said, "According to this disciple's knowledge, Su Fong's ability to conceal his aura comes from a supreme power. Tianji Life Shrinking Art. Su Fong is related to the Destiny platform?" Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn and Grand Elder Changsun exclaimed at the same time. Now that the Destiny platform was involved, things were getting troublesome. The two giants of Dongxian could not help but be wary. Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn snorted. Although there are very few cultivators who cultivate the Destiny platform's power in Jiushuan's God domain, it's not like there aren't any. There are a few peerless geniuses in Tiange who have cultivated the Tianji Life Shrinking Art. Su Fong might not be related to the Destiny platform. Grand Elder Changsun breathed a sigh of relief, still holding on to a sliver of hope. Gu Tianqi continued slowly. The invasion of the foreign tribes has triggered Jiushuan's heavenly law. Not only Dongshuan's experts, the other god domains, including the Destiny platform's experts, must have noticed it too. There must be experts rushing to Dongxian now. The expressions of the two peerless giants changed again. Gu Tianqi continued. The truth will be revealed one day. Grand Elder and Lord Exalted Sovereign want to suppress Su Fong. Have you thought about how to explain it to those experts? The other god domain's experts can be ignored, but the Destiny platform's experts are not so easily deceived. I don't need you, a junior, to tell me what to do. Exalted Sovereign Spring Autumn hollered in a lofty tone. With a flick of his sleeve, he left with mystery within Dallas World, in a void not far away from Dallas City. Swoosh! QL11 the void suddenly distorted as a silhouette appeared in the void, accompanied by sparks. It was Su Fong, who had escaped with the help of the teleportation talisman. The fiery steps under his feet exploded with a roar, igniting flames and propelling Su Fong forward. I didn't expect it to be the heaven-piercing Blood King vine that saved me. He had contributed greatly to the human race, but was almost suppressed by the human experts. He had ruined the other race's plan and severely injured the heaven-piercing Blood King vine. But this time he was saved by it. What a great irony! Su Fong was in disbelief as he executed the incandescent escape art, turning into a streak of flame as he sped towards Dallas City. After changing his appearance, Su Fong easily blended into Dallas City. Coming to a secluded place, Su Fong released Hua, Tiannu, Gao Tianlei, and the other dozen heaven-forsaken slave tribe cultivators who had helped him in the Blood Valley. Now that he was being chased by two Dongxian giants and the heaven-piercing Blood King vine, it would be very dangerous to follow Su Fong. Su Fong could only let them out and let them leave on their own. As for the other cultivators he had saved in ancient Blue City, Su Fong naturally wanted to take them all as his subordinates. Brother Hua, Brother Gao, and my friends, I am now being chased by the peerless experts of the East Profound Pavilion and the three highest mysterious sects. Everyone can only take care of yourselves. Su Fong cupped his fists towards Hua Tiannu and the rest. Hua Tiannu said angrily, Brother Su sacrificed himself to stop the invasion of the other races. You have contributed greatly to the east profound divine region and the entire human race. Yet, your contribution has been erased by the experts of the Heaven Pavilion and the three highest mysterious sects, and you're being chased by them. The world is so unfair. Gao Tianlei shouted angrily. Why don't you step forward, Su Fong, and lead us to fight it out with the Heaven Pavilion and the three highest mysterious sects? The other cultivators were furious as well. Su Fong shook his head and said, the truth of the matter will be revealed one day. Great Elder Chang's son and exalted Chunxiu can't represent the Heaven's Pavilion and the three highest mysterious sects. They can't cover the sky. Right now, I'm still very weak, so I can only endure silently. However, enduring silently for now doesn't mean that I'm a coward. One day, I'll make Great Elder Zhang Sun and Supreme Elder Spring Autumn bow their heads to me. After parting ways with Huo Tianyu and the others, Su Fong went to the Chamber of Commerce, rented a cave dwelling, and entered the cave dwelling. Wudao City isn't safe either. With the strength of the three highest mysterious sects, Great Elder and the experts of the East Profound Heavenly Pavilion, if they are determined to capture me, they will easily find me. The only thing I could do is to use the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique to conceal my aura. However, the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique can't be used for a long time. I have to find a way to leave the heaven-forsaken desolate region as soon as possible. With the strength of those two peerless giants, even if I leave the heaven-forsaken desolate region, it will be difficult to escape their pursuit. Could it be that I have to leave the East Profound Divine region? Su Fong closed his eyes and fell in a deep thought. It was obviously impossible to leave the East Profound Divine region. At least, he had to wait until he rescued his grandfather's soul. The Heaven Pavilion and the three highest mysterious sects were extremely powerful. If he didn't leave, he would fall into their hands sooner or later. Su Fong fell into a dilemma. I have an idea. Su Fong suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were bright. The reason why Great Elder Zhang Sun and Supreme Venerable Spring and Autumn dared to shackle me so unscrupulously and try to steal my luck spider is because I don't have a strong background and strength that they are afraid of. Although I am listed on the Heavenly Profound ranking, and those who attack me will be punished by the laws of the Zhoushuan, it is almost negligible for peerless giants like Great Elder Zhang Sun and Supreme Venerable Spring and Autumn. In order to obtain my luck spider, they will definitely take the risk. If I could be listed on the Xian ranking of the Heavenly Profound ranking, or even the Earth ranking, I will be protected by the laws of the Zhoushuan. The consequences of attacking me will be feared even by Great Elder Zhang Sun and Supreme Venerable Spring and Autumn. If I want to quickly increase my ranking on the Heavenly Profound ranking, there is another way. Blood Valley. If I can obtain the title of Divine Lord of Bloody Slaughter, my ranking on the Heavenly Profound ranking will definitely increase rapidly. This is the only way I can get rid of Great Elder Zhang Sun and Supreme Venerable Spring and Autumn. When Su Fong entered the Blood Valley for the first time, it was already so difficult for him to become a 2-star Divine Lord of Bloody Slaughter. One could imagine how difficult it would be to surpass a 9-star Divine Lord of Bloody Slaughter and become a Divine Lord of Bloody Slaughter. Chapter 2799. Within the Blood Valley, Su Fong had too many advantages. He had extraordinary Dharmakaya and abilities, especially the Blood Fury Dharmakaya that had 81 slaughter marks. The Silver Pattern Blood Demon Pill could rapidly increase the Blood Demon Avatar strength. Moreover, Su Fong had the unique Blood Killing Token, which could control a part of the Blood Valley's will. These advantages were the source of Su Fong's confidence. The longest a cultivator could stay in the Blood Valley was 1,000,000 years. QL11 Su Fong was confident that within 1,000,000 years, he could become a high-level Blood Demon General, even if he couldn't become a Blood Demon Lord. Su Fong made up his mind and calmed down. He cast the Time Formation in the cave abode and used the Life Shrinking Technique rune to release the power to conceal his aura. Then, Su Fong began to wantonly devour pills and spiritual items to quickly recover from his injuries. Su Fong's physical body had suffered heavy injuries when he was chased by the ghost frog. Moreover, the ghost frog's poison was very difficult to get rid of. He could only let ghost and the heaven-piercing Blood King vine seed devour and wear it down bit by bit. In a short time, Supreme Elder Spring Autumn and First Elder Changsun shouldn't find Dallas City. Moreover, the life-shrinking technique rune could last for a while. Therefore, Su Fong didn't have to worry about being found. Even if he was found, Su Fong could directly activate the blood-killing token to communicate with the Blood Valley and directly enter the Blood Valley. No matter how powerful First Elder Changsun and Supreme Elder Spring Autumn were, they couldn't chase him into the Blood Valley. Within the time formation, 3,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. It had been 300 years in the outside world. This time, Su Fong was lucky. During this time, no experts came to sense Su Fong's cave abode. Supreme Elder Spring Autumn and First Elder Changsun didn't do anything either. Su Fong opened his eyes and let out a long breath. His physical body had finally recovered to its peak state. After 3,000 years of cultivation, his cultivation had also improved. Next, it's time to go to the Blood Valley. Unfortunately, time doesn't allow it. Otherwise, I'll have a better chance when I reach the middle realm of Dao Lord. Su Fong pondered for a moment and was about to leave the cave abode and head to the Merchant Association to purchase some items necessary for entering Blood Valley. Suddenly, a rune talisman in his body stirred. The moment he took out the rune talisman, Hua Tiannu's voice came out from it. Su Fong, great news. You don't have to worry about being hunted down by the Heavenly Pavilion and the Three Supreme Profound Sects anymore. Su Fong asked in surprise why. Hua Tiannu's chuckling voice sounded again. You should come to Dallas City and see for yourself. I'll wait for you at the free and unfettered Divine Pavilion. At this time, Hua Tiannu was still keeping them in suspense. Su Fong was confused. Very carefully, he cast a formation and concealed his face with his primordial spirit. Then, he withdrew his aura and carefully flew out of the cave abode. The cave that Su Fong rented in the Chamber of Commerce this time was located on the side of a cliff. When he flew over the cliff and the ridge, he sensed a very familiar aura. He looked over. It was Gao Tianlei flying towards the peak of the mountain. He was not alone. Instead, he was surrounded by hundreds of people. He looked very impressive, as if he was a nouveau riche. Su Fong was surprised. He changed his direction and flew towards Gao Tianlei, who knew that before he could get close, a young man in luxurious clothes flashed out from behind Gao Tianlei and coldly shouted at Su Fong, "Go further away. If you want to curry favor with Lord Gao Tianlei, go to the back and line up." Curry favor with Gao Tianlei? Although Gao Tianlei was not ordinary, he was after all from the heaven-forsaken slave clan. He could be considered an expert in ancient Blue City, but in the entire heaven-forsaken desolate region, he was not a true expert. What did he have to curry favor with? Su Fong secretly speculated. Could it be that Gao Tianlei obtained a supreme fortune, found a treasure, and turned into a tycoon? Gao Tianlei cupped his fist towards Su Fong and smiled honestly. "Friend, is there something you need from me?" "Nothing, Brother Gao. Please go ahead," Su Fong said casually. He dismissed the idea of contacting Gao Tianlei and turned to fly towards the city. Gao Tianlei, under the escort of many cultivators, entered the most expensive cave abode at the peak of the mountain. Those cultivators stayed outside the cave abode, with no intention of leaving. Strange, this is really strange. Su Fong was puzzled and came to the bustling streets of Dallas City. Although the heaven-forsaken desolate region was desolate, Dallas City was a prosperous scene. Su Fong felt as if he had entered a city where mortals lived. There was an endless stream of people and carriages everywhere. This scene was hard to see in other places in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Su Fong did not know what kind of place the unfettered sky pavilion that Hua Tiannu mentioned was. He looked around the streets and was about to ask someone. At this time, a young man walked over. "Sir, is this your first time in Dallas City?" This young man was 15 years old and was only at the lower level of Tao Truth. His skin was dark, and there was a faint slave mark on his forehead. He was clearly a cultivator from the heaven-forsaken slave tribe. The heaven-forsaken slave race had a low status. Cultivators from this race with slave seals were equivalent to slaves. They didn't have much freedom. If they dared to appear in the bustling streets of Dallas City, no one would care, even if they were beaten to death. Su Fong was surprised that this young man appeared in public. He asked, "What is it?" The young man smiled humbly. "My name is Huang Do. I'm here in Wu Dao City. I'm a guide for the lords who come to Wu Dao City. If you don't mind, I'm willing to serve you. If you're satisfied, you can reward me with a few low-grade pills." Guide? Su Fong's divine light swept over Huang Do and asked, "You are from a heaven-forsaken slave tribe, and the slave mark on your face is still there. How dare you walk around Dallas City? Aren't you afraid of being bullied?" "Haha, sir's talking about the history of 100 years ago." Huang Do chuckled. He then showed a proud expression. "Now that we, the heaven-forsaken slave tribe, have produced a great figure who can shake the Joshuan god realm in the heaven-forsaken wilderness, who dares to treat us as slaves? Now, not only in Dallas City, in any mystic world or force in the heaven-forsaken wilderness, we, the heaven-forsaken slave tribe, walk with our heads held high. Who dares to bully us?" Su Fong was surprised. Great figure. Sir must have just arrived at Dallas City after cultivating in seclusion. Huang Do looked at Su Fong and then looked like he was enlightened. He then said, 100 years ago, the old city lord of ancient Blue City colluded with the boundless Great Sun sect in an attempt to lure the other tribes to invade the Eastern Xian divine realm. Su Fongda stepped forward and thwarted the other tribes' conspiracy, turning the tide and saving the heaven-forsaken wilderness and the entire Eastern Xian divine realm. His name shook Dongxian, and even the Joshuan god realm knows his name. Su Fongda was born in a low-level universe. With him around, who in the heaven-forsaken wilderness would dare to bully us, the heaven-forsaken slave tribe? Su Fong was dumbfounded. He had gone into seclusion for 100 years and had become Dongxuan's savior. Who would have thought? Su Fong could not have imagined it at all. Did Supreme Venerable Spring Autumn and Great Elder Zhang Sun not directly erase his merit? How did the entire Eastern Xian divine realm know about it now? Something must have happened during this period. Looking at Su Fong's shocked expression, the young man, Huang Do, looked pleased. He puffed out his chest and said, "Su Fongda is a benevolent and righteous person. When he was in ancient Blue City, he saved countless mortals and cultivators. He is our heaven-forsaken slave tribe's great backer. With Su Fongda supporting us, who in the heaven-forsaken wilderness would dare to bully the cultivators of the heaven-forsaken slave tribe? Even Dallas City treats lowly cultivators like us as equals and even deliberately favors us." After that, he warned Su Fong solemnly, "My lord, if you encounter cultivators of the heaven-forsaken slave race in Dallas City, you must not offend them. At that time, if you're captured by Dallas City's law enforcers, the one to suffer would be my lord." Yes. Thank you for your reminder." Su Fong nodded and asked, "Who spread the news that Su Fong stopped the other tribes from invading? Do you have any evidence?" Huang Do said in surprise, "Sir, you still don't know? Now, all the big merchant associations and shops are selling jade slips that recorded the scene of Su Fongda destroying the world-crossing profound door and stopping the other tribes from invading. If you can see the dangerous scene clearly, you will naturally know if you buy a jade slip." Su Fong took out 10 low-grade medicinal pills and gave them to Huang Do. "Follow me temporarily and be my guide. First, bring me to buy a jade slip." Seeing that Su Fong agreed and was so generous, Huang Do knew that he met a benefactor this time. He was surprised and happy. In a shop on the street, Su Fong bought a jade slip after spending 100 low-grade medicinal pills. He injected his magic power into the jade slip. The jade slip immediately melted and turned into a picture scroll. The picture scroll showed the scene in the sky above ancient Blue City. It showed the extremely dangerous scene after the world-crossing profound door was formed. The experts of the other tribes kept appearing from the world-crossing profound door. Su Fong stepped forward bravely and burned his 6 extreme Tao Saint Dharma body, heavily injured the heaven-piercing Blood King vine, and destroyed the world-crossing profound door. The whole process was vivid and lifelike, as if it was reproduced in reality. Su Fong saw some clues from the picture scroll displayed in the jade slip. This picture scroll is not reproduced by reversing time. Someone saw it with their own eyes and sealed it in the jade slip with their thoughts. Only Gu Qianqi was present at that time. Could it be that these jade slips were secretly distributed by Gu Qianqi? Su Fong speculated that it was most likely done by Gu Qianqi. If that was the case, it was equivalent to solving a huge problem for Su Fong. No matter how powerful great Elder Zhang's son and exalted martial artist Spring Autumn were, no matter how overbearing they would not dare to openly hunt down Su Fong. Gu Qianqi, if this matter was really done by you, I owe you a big favor. Su Fong thought to himself. He could finally relax his vigilant heart now. Let's go. Bring me to the free and unfettered divine pavilion. Su Fong instructed Huang Do. Then, under Huang Do's lead, he flew towards the free and unfettered divine pavilion. In less than 5 minutes, they arrived at a huge pavilion located in the most prosperous area of Daoless City. It was the place where the cultivators of Daoless City often gathered, the free and unfettered divine pavilion. Chapter 2800. Carefree Divine Pavilion was quite famous in Daoless City. Many cultivators liked to gather here, drink, make friends, and gather information. Su Fong entered the first floor of Carefree Divine Pavilion, his gaze sweeping across the spacious hall. There were many cultivators in the hall, but Su Fong did not see Hua Tiannu's figure. However, he sensed his presence. He had actually disguised his appearance. Why is this Hua Tiannu as strange as Gao Tianlei? Su Fong raised his eyebrows and smiled. Huang Do, this is your reward. Go. Su Fong gave Huang Do 100 lower-class medicinal pills. The cultivation resources in heaven-forsaken barren region were scarce, and Huang Do was born here. 100 lower-class medicinal pills were no different from a large sum of money to him. He had only led the way for Su Fong once, and was rewarded with 100 medicinal pills. He was overjoyed and thanked Su Fong profusely. Su Fong came to Hua Tiannu's table and sat down opposite him. Su Fong was now disguised as a 20-year-old. His appearance was ordinary, and he even looked a little down. Hua Tiannu naturally did not recognize him and raised his eyebrows. Friend, there's someone there. Su Fong transmitted his consciousness to Hua Tiannu. It's me. Hua Tiannu was pleasantly surprised. Su Fong, you're finally willing to come out. You've been in Daoless City all these years. That's right. Su Fong nodded. Why did you disguise yourself too? Were you being hunted? It's scarier than being hunted, Hua Tiannu said with a bitter smile, and then told Su Fong everything. So, after separating from Su Fong in Daoless City, Hua Tiannu and Gao Tianlei stayed in Daoless City, not daring to show their faces. Just 100 years ago, the jade scroll that recorded the scene of Su Fong stopping the invasion of Dongxian suddenly flowed into Daoless City and spread at an alarming speed, causing a stir in heaven-forsaken barren region and the entire Dongxian to be shaken. Only then did Hua Tiannu and Gao Tianlei dare to show themselves. Unfortunately, Su Fong was cultivating in seclusion at that time and sealed the rune talisman used for communication. They were unable to contact Su Fong. Who knew after those jade slips were leaked, Su Fong's name quickly spread throughout the eastern profound divine realm. Especially in the heaven-forsaken desolate region, there was no one who did not view Su Fong as their savior. That was the truth. If Su Fong hadn't destroyed the world-crossing profound gate, the experts of the foreign races would have continuously entered the eastern profound divine domain. The first place to bear the brunt would have been the heaven-forsaken desolate region. At that time, no one in the heaven-forsaken desolate region would have survived. If Su Fong wasn't the savior of the heaven-forsaken desolate region, what was he? Moreover, Su Fong was from a low-level universe. The lowest level of cultivators in the heaven-forsaken wilderness were descendants of cultivators from low-level universes. This was why the heaven-forsaken wilderness had gotten its name. Su Fong disregarded everything and saved countless mortals and cultivators in ancient Blue City. His action won the admiration of all the heaven-forsaken slaves cultivators. As a result, Su Fang's reputation in the heaven-forsaken desolate region rose to an unimaginable height, even surpassing the Taoist sect's leader. This was nothing. It was said that the powerhouses of Dongxuan's various forces had gathered in Taoist City. There were also many experts from other divine realms. Even the Destiny Stage's big shots had arrived. There were also rumors that the Destiny Stage was planning to take Su Fang as a direct disciple. Although these rumors could not be taken seriously, they were not groundless. This proved that not only had Su Fang's name spread throughout Jiuquan, his future identity would also be extraordinary. Su Fang had concealed himself. Once Hua Tiannu, Gao Tianlei, and the other cultivators appeared, they were immediately recognized. In the end, Hua Tiannu and the others became the targets of countless heaven-forsaken desolate region cultivators, hoping to build a relationship with Su Fang through them. Even if they could not build a relationship with Su Fang, to make friends with Su Fang's friends like Hua Tiannu was a supreme honor for the heaven-forsaken desolate region cultivators. Hua Tiannu, Gao Tianlei, and the others were surrounded by countless cultivators all day long. They were also annoyed. In the end, Hua Tiannu had to change his appearance and hide. Su Fang was dumbfounded, unable to say a word for a long time. For a moment, he felt like he was in a world of ice and fire. Previously, he had been chased by great Elder Zhang Sun of the three highest mysterious sects and Supreme Elder Chunqiu of the Heaven Pavilion like a stray dog. Now, his name had shaken the heaven-forsaken desolate region. Dongxian was shaken, and his name had spread throughout Jiuquan. Su Fang shook his head with a bitter smile. He did not expect this at all. He calmed himself down and asked, "You said that the major forces of the Eastern Xian divine region, as well as the experts of other divine regions, have all come to Wudao City." "That's right. The Heaven Pavilion, the three highest mysterious sects, the Luo Shao Sword sect, and other major forces of the Eastern Xian divine region have not only sent experts, but also many geniuses. Many experts from other divine regions have also come. An extremely powerful expert from the Western Xian divine region has come. It is said that he is a Dao Saint expert. There are also experts from the mysterious Destiny Stage who have come to Wudao City. Now, these experts are investigating the invasion of the foreign tribes. Other than searching for your whereabouts, they're also pursuing the heaven-piercing Blood King vine that has sneaked into the Eastern Xian divine region." Hua Tiannu's words made Su Fang completely relieved. With so many forces and experts, there was naturally no need to worry about Great Elder Zhang Sun and Supreme Elder Chunqiu, especially when there were Dao Saints from the Western Xian divine region. Su Fang guessed that it was most likely Dao Zhu of the Western Xian divine region who had secretly sent orders to help Su Fang resolve this crisis. Originally, Su Fang had planned to escape into the Blood Valley. Now, it seemed that there was no need to flee for his life. However, he would have to make a trip to the Blood Valley sooner or later. He would treat it as an experience to improve his strength. Su Fang now understood that at a critical moment, no matter how great one's reputation was, it was useless. Only strength was the greatest reliance. While the two were conversing, Su Fang's eyebrows suddenly furrowed. A woman walked towards the table where Hua Tiannu was sitting. It was one of Su Fang's old acquaintances, Zhong Daiyun. If not for Zhong Daiyun, Su Fang would not have obtained the rainbow blood lotus, nor would he have been able to catch the weaver spider. Therefore, Su Fang owed Zhong Daiyun a huge favor. "Lord Hua Tiannu, so you are here." Zhong Daiyun sat down beside Hua Tiannu. So, she was here to find Hua Tiannu. Zhong Daiyun and Gao Tianlei knew each other, and Gao Tianlei was with Hua Tiannu. It was not strange for her to know Hua Tiannu. "Lord Hua Tiannu, have you contacted Su Fang?" Zhong Daiyun asked as soon as she sat down. Hua Tiannu glanced at Su Fang. Seeing that Su Fang had no intention of acknowledging her, he asked, "I wonder why Ms. Zhong is looking for Su Fang. Why is it so urgent? Why don't you tell me? Maybe I can help Miss Zhong." Zhong Diyun's face was filled with worry. She said slowly, "It's okay to tell Lord Hua Tiannu the truth. I'm in quite a bit of trouble right now. I'm afraid that only Su Fong can help me. So, Zhong Daiyun had a very snobbish father. Last time outside Wudao City, Su Fong forcefully sealed the border. Zhong Daiyun originally wanted to acknowledge her, but her father stopped her. The result was too late for regrets. A few years ago, Zhong Daiyun's father went behind her back and made an engagement with a prodigy with a strong background. He tried to climb up the social ladder. Naturally, Zhong Daiyun did not want to do it. It was a stalemate until now. Who knew that the prodigy actually came to Wudao City and forced Zhong Daiyun to marry him? Furthermore, that prodigy had a strong background. Zhong Daiyun could not afford to offend him at all. He had a strong and domineering personality. He shackled Zhong Daiyun's father and used that to force Zhong Daiyun. Zhong Daiyun had no choice but to ask Hua Tiannu for help. She hoped to find Su Fong to help solve the problem. I see. Hua Tiannu chuckled. With Su Fong around, Zhong Daiyun's matter was not a problem at all. Then, Hua Tiannu stared at Zhong Daiyun and asked, "Since that prodigy cares so much about you, why didn't you agree?" Zhong Miaoyun snorted. "That person is just an idiot with a golden exterior. What qualifications does he have to be my Dao companion?" Hua Tiannu glanced at Su Fong and said with a smile, "It seems that Miss Zhong's standards are very high. I wonder if Su Fong is worthy of Miss Zhong?" Su Fong glared fiercely at Hua Tiannu. Zhong Jiyun's beautiful face turned red in an instant. Then she sighed. Su Fong is such a peerless figure. Which girl doesn't want to be his Dao companion? I do want to become Dao companions with him. I'm even willing to be his concubine. But why would he like me? Su Fong rubbed his nose hard. He wished he could send Hua Tiannu flying with his divine might. Willing to be Su Fong's concubine? When I have the chance, I will definitely tell Su Fong. Ha ha! Hua Tiannu laughed loudly. He was very happy. At this moment, how many people in the entire Eastern profound divine domain could make Su Fong suffer? How could he not be happy? Hua Tiannu's laughter attracted the attention of many guests on the first floor of the free, unfettered divine pavilion. At this time, a group of young cultivators with extraordinary auras and clothes were walking into the free, unfettered divine pavilion. They were also attracted by Hua Tiannu's laughter. Seeing these people, Su Fong's heart trembled. What a coincidence! He actually met a large group of acquaintances here. The number one disciple of the three supreme profound sects, Gu Tianqi, the peerless geniuses from the heavenly pavilion, Dong Xinjun, Dong Xianzheng, and Ling Xingchen of the three supreme profound sects. There were also a dozen unfamiliar faces. However, all of them had extraordinary auras. They were handsome and confident. Clearly, they were all peerless geniuses from the various major forces of the Eastern profound divine domain. Among them, there was a silver-robed youth who walked side by side with Gu Tianqi. Clearly, he was at the same height as Gu Tianqi. Judging from his aura, he should be from the Eastern profound heavenly pavilion. Moreover, his status was clearly much higher than Dong Xinjun's. Behind those geniuses was a large group of young cultivators. In any profound world, they would be called geniuses. However, looking at their identities, they were only the followers of these geniuses. Gu Tianqi and the others walked upstairs. It seemed like they were going to hold a gathering of geniuses. Many guests in the hall were intimidated by the aura of these geniuses. None of them dared to breathe loudly. Su Fong thought to himself, I'm just about to find Gu Tianqi and ask him some questions. Also, it's time to deal with that Dong Xianzheng. Those geniuses walked upstairs. The young cultivators behind them stayed in the hall on the first floor. Clearly, they did not have the qualifications to join the circle of these top geniuses. A young cultivator was attracted by Hua Tiannu's laughter just now. When he saw Zhong Jinyun, he immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise and walked over. Chapter 28:01. Don't be afraid. Who cares about Chun Renjia's background? He won't dare do anything to you. Hua Tiannu smiled carelessly, not taking the young talent seriously at all. With Su Fong around, how much trouble could the young cultivator named Chun Renjia cause? Zhong Diyun did not know that Su Fong was right in front of her, so she was skeptical of Hua Tiannu's words, feeling uneasy. At this moment, The cultivators in the hall began to discuss the top geniuses of Dongxian who had gone upstairs. Everyone was in awe and reverence. Some of the cultivators who recognized the geniuses immediately became the center of attention. Of course, the geniuses did not recognize them, but this was enough to make them proud. There were also some cultivators who began to get close to the followers of the geniuses in the hall. To the geniuses, they were followers, but to the ordinary cultivators in the hall, these young talents were important figures who were worth befriending. Suddenly, a cultivator shouted loudly, "These geniuses are indeed extraordinary, but don't forget that our heaven-forsaken wasteland also has such a peerless figure." The hall fell silent. Chun Renjia, who was walking toward Zhong Diyun, stopped as well. That's right. Who can compare to Su Fang in the current Dongxian divine domain? Dongxuan's top genius, Su Fang, is fully deserving of the title. Our heaven-forsaken wasteland's genius Su Fang is a peerless figure who has severely injured the foreign race experts and defeated the foreign race's army, saving Dongxian. How can others compare to him? The cultivators in the hall all looked proud, as if they shared the honor. A bunch of ignorant frogs in the well. How can you know the prowess of Dongxuan's top geniuses? Chun Renjia sneered disdainfully, his voice suppressing the cultivators' discussion. Those geniuses who went up just now, which one of them isn't a prodigy with astounding talent? The Su Fang you speak of is only a lowly tribe forsaken by heaven-forsaken wasteland. How much can he achieve in the future? How can he be compared to the peerless geniuses of the top forces, like Heaven Pavilion and the three supreme mysterious sects? The Su Fang was just lucky and happened to stop the invasion of the foreign tribes. Moreover, this matter is still under investigation, and there is no conclusion yet. No one can be sure of the truth of the matter. Yet you cultivators from the heaven-forsaken desolation region are praising him to the heavens. How laughable! Until now, Su Fang doesn't even dare to show his face. If this young master sees him, I will definitely step on his head and make him kneel and lick this young master's boots. Chun Renjia mocked and ridiculed Su Fang with an arrogant expression. His disdainful gaze was overbearing and domineering. The young elites that remained in the hall also burst into laughter. Each and every one of them was not convinced by Su Fang. The cultivators in the hall were intimidated by the Dongxian geniuses upstairs, so no one dared to refute Chun Renjia. QL11 Chun Renjia became even more arrogant. He came in front of Zhong Biyun and looked down at him with disdain. This young master invited you out to see the world, but you made all kinds of excuses and came here to mingle with these lowly ants. What do you think of this young master as your Taoist companion? It seems like you don't want your father to live anymore. Zhong Biyun's face turned pale and his body trembled. He shouted angrily, "Chun Renjia, you are also from the Divine Cultivation Clan. How can you hurt people with your words? Besides, I am not your Taoist companion. Don't talk nonsense." "Your friend?" Chun Renjia's arrogant gaze swept past Su Fang and Hui Tiannu. He revealed a disdainful smile. Then he said domineeringly, "The two of you, I will give you 10 breaths of time to crawl out of the free and unfettered divine pavilion. Otherwise, this young master will destroy your Taoist palaces and throw you out." Su Fang, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said casually, "If you crawl out of here now, this seat can forgive your rude offense." Chun Renjia laughed involuntarily. The young elites also roared with laughter. Chun Renjia smiled and said, "Do you know who this young master is?" Su Fang said indifferently, "I don't know, and I don't want to know the origin of an ant." "Arrogant." Chun Renjia sneered and pointed at Su Fang rudely. He shouted, "This young master is a disciple of the Chun clan of the Mirror Moon Profound World. Never heard of it." Su Fang was speaking the truth. After coming to the Eastern Profound Divine Domain, other than the Fire Net Profound World, he had been in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. He really didn't know about the Mirror Moon Profound World. Chun Renjia's eyebrows rose like swords. A young elite smiled and said, "It's not strange that a lowly ant from the heaven-forsaken desolate region doesn't know about the Mirror Moon Profound World. However, The Chun clan of the Mirror Moon Profound World has produced two peerless geniuses who have entered the Eastern Profound Heaven Pavilion to cultivate and become Daozu's disciples. Don't tell me you don't know about the Eastern Profound Heaven Pavilion? A cultivation divine clan having two peerless geniuses enter the Eastern Profound Heaven Pavilion was indeed a shocking matter. Even Su Fong was moved. The young elite said proudly, "Those two peerless geniuses are the rising stars of the Eastern Profound Heaven Pavilion, young Master Dongxian Zheng and young Miss Dongxian Rong." Right now, young Master Dongxian Zheng is chatting happily with other top geniuses upstairs. This young Master Chen Renjia is the genius of the Chun clan that young Master Dongxian Zheng came from. You lowly ant from the heaven-forsaken desolate region dare to be rude to him. You really don't know what death is. Su Fong was shocked and stunned. He didn't expect Chun Renjia to be Dongxian Zheng and Dongxian Rong's clansman. When Chun Renjia saw Su Fong's expression, he thought that Su Fong was afraid. He became even more complacent and arrogant. This young master is not someone who bullies others. As long as you obediently kowtow to this young master and admit your guilt, then cripple your own cultivation, this young master will spare your life. Zhong Miaoyun said furiously, "Chun Renjia, I don't know this person. How can you vent your anger on him?" Chun Renjia's eyes flashed with a cold and ruthless expression, and he said in a ghastly voice, "If you dare speak another word, then this young master will immediately make you kill your father, and then strip off your clothes in public. Let's see how you'll continue acting lofty before this young master." Hua Tiannu originally intended to watch the show, yet when he saw Chun Renjia become more and more arrogant and domineering, he couldn't restrain himself any longer and roared thunderously, "You arrogant fellow! How dare you act arrogantly and domineeringly in Dallas City? Fuck off!" Hua Tiannu wasn't an ordinary cultivator, and he was an extremely formidable expert at the intermediate Dowlord realm. He was a renowned expert in the second slaughter city of Blood Gorge, and he had an unruly nature. He'd even dared to offend Dongxian Jun on the blood slaughter arena of the second slaughter city, let alone Chun Renjia. He erupted with the imposing aura and will of an intermediate Dowlord realm expert, and it smashed fiercely onto Chun Renjia, causing Chun Renjia to be blasted flying. Chun Renjia collided with the wall of the hall, and he directly smashed through the defensive barrier and passed through the wall. A Dowlord! The hall instantly fell into deathly silence. The young elites who were incomparably arrogant just a moment ago also felt their hearts tremble. No matter which profound world it was, a Dowlord realm cultivator was a true expert, and even these young geniuses with extraordinary identities had no choice but to fear such a Dowlord realm cultivator. Even though Chun Renjia seemed to be in a sorry state, he wasn't injured at all. He was a genius after all, and he possessed extraordinary defensive abilities. Coupled with the fact that Hua Tiannu didn't really intend to kill him and had merely punished him slightly, he gazed at Hua Tiannu and gnashed his teeth as he said, "No matter who you are, this young master will make living worse than death for you. Even a Dowlord is an ant before a disciple of the heavenly pavilion." As soon as he finished speaking, he withdrew a talisman, and it was unknown who he was sending his soul consciousness to. Zhong Biyun hurriedly sent a voice transmission to Hua Tiannu. "Lord Hua Tiannu, leave quickly. Chun Renjia has the support of a disciple of the heavenly pavilion. You can't afford to offend him." "It's fine." Seeing that Su Fong had no intention of leaving, Hua Tiannu smiled as he spoke to Zhong Kunyan. In less than half an hour, a dignified voice came from the entrance of the hall. "Who is it? How dare you offend a subordinate of a heavenly pavilion disciple in Dalorla City?" Before the voice had even finished speaking, a dignified middle-aged man stepped into the hall on the first floor of the free and unfettered divine pavilion. This person was a peak Dowlord realm cultivator, and his aura was majestic and domineering. It was obvious that he was a powerful figure. It's Fan Wuyong from the Dalorla sect, Envoy Fan. That Chun Renjia is indeed a big shot with an identity. A talisman actually attracted a big shot from the Dalorla sect. That cultivator who attacked Chun Renjia is in big trouble now. From the whispers of the crowd, Su Fong knew the identity of this dignified middle-aged man. He didn't expect him to be the envoy fan from the Daedalus sect. Chen Renjia was a little smart. He didn't go upstairs directly to find Dong Xianzheng to stand up for him. Instead, he summoned a big shot from the Daedalus sect. "Young Master Chun, are you all right?" Envoy Fan hurriedly asked when he saw Chen Renjia's sorry state. His tone was full of flattery. "I was humiliated in the Daedalus city. You could decide how to deal with it. Dong Xianshang, Dong Xianjun, Gu Tianqi, and the others are all upstairs watching." Chen Renjia said coldly. Left Emissary Fan shuddered, and his dignified face turned pale in an instant. "How dare you? Kneel down and admit your crimes." Fanswell was enraged. A thought instantly swept across the sky, turning into a palm print that was 100 feet in size. With shackles and pressure, it pressed down on Su Fong, Hua, Tiannu, and Zhong Junyan. The envoy Fan from the Daedalus sect? Haha, he forced the Daedalus sect's leader to kill Envoy Fan. Now, there's Envoy Fan. It seems that I'm fated to meet the Envoy Fan. Su Fong chuckled. His blood-evil, celestial body released Slaughter Sword Chi, which turned into a sword formation and swept across. It instantly crushed the palm print into pieces. An astonishing Slaughter Chi filled the entire hall and soared up to the sky. The entire Free Spirit Pavilion was alarmed. Chen Renjia was shocked. He immediately sneered disdainfully. "So you're also an expert. Moreover, you're a powerful expert who has cultivated the blood-evil celestial body. But so what? In front of me, you're still an ant. Envoy Fan, why aren't you suppressing him?" Envoy Fan began to hesitate. He had already guessed some clues from Su Fong's words. However, he still didn't dare to make a conclusion. At this time, a voice full of surprise came from upstairs. "Su Fong, it's you?" Then, a figure flashed and appeared in front of Su Fong. It was Gu Tianqi. Chapter 28:02. Su Fong. Gu Tianqi's words instantly made Su Fong the center of attention in the hall. "Brother Gu Tianqi, I trust you have been well since we last met." Su Fong's face quickly changed and returned to his true appearance. Almost everyone in the heaven-forsaken desolate region knew about Su Fong's appearance. Once they saw his true appearance, the entire hall fell into a brief silence, followed by waves of exclamations. Asterisk, whoosh, asterisk, shock, exclamations, and sounds swept across like a tidal wave. The ordinary cultivators in the hall looked at Su Fong with eyes full of respect and incomparable excitement. To be able to gather together with the legendary Su Fong, this kind of experience was enough for these cultivators to show off to others in the future. It could even be called a great opportunity. So how could they not be excited? Su Fong has appeared at the Free and Unfettered Godhead. Quick, go to the Free and Unfettered Godhead immediately. The news spread out from the Free and Unfettered Godhead and quickly spread throughout the Dallas city. In just a moment, countless cultivators rushed towards the Free and Unfettered Godhead. "Su Fong, it's really Su Fong. This bastard from the Mirror Moon profound world wants to kill me." Left Envoy Fan of the Dallas Gate trembled as if his soul had been sucked out. His Taoist robe was soaked in sweat. Right Envoy Chu of the Dallas Gate was personally killed by Su Fong. Left Envoy Han was killed by the Dallas Gate's sect master under Su Fong's coercion. Left Envoy Fan had just sat on the throne of the Dallas Gate's left envoy for a few days. This time, he kicked the iron plate known as Su Fong. How could he not be afraid when he thought of his predecessor's end? Zhong Yun was surprised and happy at the same time. There was finally hope now. With Su Fong here, what could a mere Chen Renjia amount to? However, when she thought of the words, "I'm willing to be Su Fong's concubine," her face turned red with a swoosh. She looked tender and beautiful. QL11, the eyes of those young elites, also changed in an instant. They looked at Su Fong with fear in their eyes. Chen Renjia felt like a heavy punch had landed on his heart. He staggered as endless fear surged from the bottom of his heart. However, he quickly regained his composure as he thought about it. He raised his head and revealed his arrogance. So what if he's Su Fong? I'm a clansman of Dong Xianzheng's. What could he do to me? Gu Tianqi, Were you the one who spread the news of me destroying the world-crossing profound door? Su Fong transmitted his thoughts to Gu Qianqi. Gu Qianqi nodded. That's right. Why did you do that? Aren't you afraid that if you offend great Elder Zhang's son, it will be difficult for you to stand out in the sect in the future? Also, our relationship don't sacrifices this. You once said that cultivators should adhere to their own hearts and seek a clear conscience. Only in this way would they be able to cultivate a supreme Dao heart. Fong's Dao, Fong's Dao, cultivation, Dao says, I started cultivation. S is besides I, Gu Qianqi, will rely on myself in the future. Even without the sect support, I can still rise in Dongxian and make a name for myself in Jiuxuan's human world. Thank you very much. Gu Qianqi's actions made Su Fong feel like he was a hero. You don't have to thank me. You've shed blood for the Eastern Xian divine region. Gu Qianqi, will never let you cry again. Besides, I'm only telling you the truth. Su Fong stared at Gu Qianqi. Gu Qianqi, you're qualified to be Su Fong's friend. Gu Qianqi laughed heartily. This reputed one thought that we've been friends for a long time. To think that we're barely qualified. Su Fong, it's not easy to be your friend. Su Fong smiled as well. He then asked, how are the Eastern Xian divine regions higher-ups and experts from other divine regions going to deal with the invasion? Gu Qianqi answered honestly. Other than our sect's great Elder Chang's son and the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion Supreme Venerable Spring and Autumn, the other forces of Dongxian and the other divine regions' powerhouses have also come to Daoless City. The Western Profound Divine Region has even sent a Dao Saint expert. Destiny Arena has also sent an envoy, and he's currently in Daoless City. Do these experts acknowledge me for stopping the invasion of Dongxian? This was what Su Fong was most concerned about. Those are the top experts of the 9 profound divine realm. They used their supreme divine abilities to reverse time and investigate what happened in the ancient Blue City. It's not difficult for them to do so. You can rest assured that you're now a hero of the Eastern Xian divine region. Even great Elder Chang's son and exalted Spring and Autumn won't dare to touch you. I see. Su Fong's heart settled, as if a mountain had been lifted from his heart. Experts from various forces are currently pursuing the heaven-traversing Blood King vine that has snuck into heaven-forsaken desolate region. They're also trying to find your whereabouts. You've finally shown yourself. Why don't you come with me to pay them a visit? Gu Qianqi revealed a jealous and envious expression as he continued. TSK, you're now a popular figure in Eastern Xian divine region. I heard that Destiny Arena's experts are even planning to take you in as their personal disciple. Even this seat can't help but be envious of you. Your current reputation is something that even this seat has to look up to. I've shot myself in the foot. Su Fong chuckled. Wait for me to deal with some small matters. Then I'll go with you to meet those experts. Then, he looked at Envoy Fan of the Daoless sect. Su Fong Da. This one has eyes but failed to see and has rudely offended you. Please punish me. Envoy Fan of the left fell to his knees, looking like he was waiting to be slaughtered by Su Fong. Many cultivators in the hall were shocked by this scene. The Daoless sect was the #1 power in heaven-forsaken desolate region, whereas Envoy Fan of the Daoless sect was a huge figure at the peak of the Daoless sect. At this moment, he was actually terrified by Su Fong to the point of falling to his knees and begging for mercy. This was strength and reputation. A feeling of reverence towards experts swiftly grew and spread in the hearts of all the cultivators. Su Fong said indifferently, those who don't know are innocent. However, you have to give my friend an explanation for making a move against them. Envoy Fan of the left knew that his life had been spared this time, and he immediately heaved a long sigh of relief as if he'd received amnesty. He stood up, cupped his fists, and bowed to Hui Tianyu and Zhong Buyun. I've offended both of you. Please forgive me. I'll definitely compensate both of you later. Su Fong didn't pursue the matter with Envoy Fan, so Hui Tianyu and Zhong Buyun naturally wouldn't make things difficult for him. Su Fong looked at Chun Renjia and asked indifferently, you said earlier that you want me to kneel and lick your boots? You even want to cripple my Dao Palace and asked me to crawl out of the unfettered divine pavilion? Gu Qianqi chuckled. Even I don't dare speak such words to Su Fong. Yet you've actually looked down upon Su Fong. You're truly brave. Even I can't help but admire you slightly. Huh. Su Fong's gaze contained a fierce will to slaughter, and it caused Chun Rinja's entire body to go icy cold, as if he'd fallen into a bottomless pit of ice. Moreover, his Dao heart was on the verge of shattering. Before a true expert like Su Fong, who'd experienced countless slaughters, a young genius like Chun Rinjia was extremely weak, like a flower that had been fostered in a greenhouse. He didn't even have the courage to face Su Fong directly. So how could he go against Su Fong? This young master, Chun Rinjia was trembling, and he couldn't even speak clearly. Su Fong, he's a clansman of mine. Dong Xinzheng's voice sounded out. Then Dong Xinzheng, Dong Xinjun, Ling Xingqin, and the other geniuses all came from upstairs to the hall. However, the silver-robed youth from Dongxian Heavenly Pavilion remained upstairs. Seeing so many geniuses come all of a sudden, and Dong Xinzheng even spoke up, Chun Rinjia's spirits were lifted. This person was also smart. He quickly cupped his fists at Su Fong and said sincerely, "This one failed to recognize Mount Tai earlier and offended the people of Su Fongda. Please forgive me, sir." Su Fong's lips curled into a mocking smirk. If I were an ordinary cultivator from heaven-forsaken barren region, I would have had my Dao palace destroyed by now, and my head trampled on and humiliated by you. Now, you want me to let you go with just a few words? Dong Xinzheng said coldly. Su Fong, don't be unreasonable. It's perfectly justified for your clansmen to destroy me. If it's me, Su Fong, who's unreasonable? Dong Xinzheng, is this your way of reasoning? Ha, we'll settle our scores later, Su Fong said with a cold smile. He then looked at Chun Rinjia and revealed a lofty and domineering aura. The dignity of the strong cannot be violated. Those who violate it will die. As clanging sounds echoed in the hall, a red light suddenly shot out from Su Fong's eyes. The true incinerating eye. As Su Fong ascended to Dao Lord, he could already use thought attacks, making the true incinerating eye even more powerful. In a flash, the red light arrived in front of Chun Rinjia, about to shoot into his Dao palace and destroy it. How arrogant! With me here, don't even think about hurting him. Dong Xinzheng let out a thunderous roar. With a thought condensed into a water droplet in front of Chun Rinjia's head, blocking the needle-like thought that Su Fong had condensed from the true incinerating eye. Poof! The needle-like light pierced through the water droplet and hit Chun Rinjia between his eyebrows. The needle-like light, which contained the true will of the Xianyang holy man and Su Fong's powerful will, pierced through Chun Rinjia's Dao palace and burned his soul. He screamed in pain and fell to the ground. Su Fong, I won't rest until you're dead. His clansman was destroyed in front of Dong Xinzheng. He was enraged as new and old hatred surged in his heart. Won't rest until you're dead? Dong Xinzheng, do you have a right to fight me until I'm dead? Su Fong snorted. Then, his murderous aura suddenly became sharp as he stared at Dong Xinzheng and said coldly, You took my grandfather's soul, and I haven't settled this score with you. Now, you dare to be so arrogant in front of me? I, Su Fong, am not a pushover. I'll suppress you today and use you to exchange for my grandfather's soul. Boom! Su Fong took a step forward, and the blood fury spell body fused with his physical body. Blood armor appeared on his body, and there were 2 killing stars on it. They were covered in dense slashes and emitted a murderous aura as they charged towards Dong Xinzheng. Senior Dong Xinjun, save me. Dong Xinzheng did not expect Su Fong to be so domineering and attack him in front of everyone. He was scared out of his wits and hurriedly called for help. Chapter 28:03. Su Fong, you were only able to defeat me in the Blood Valley because you borrowed the power of the 6 extreme Dao, Saint Celestial Body. It wasn't your true strength. Now that you've lost the 6 extreme Dao, Saint Celestial Body, let's see how you can still be arrogant in front of me. Dong Xinjun snorted at Su Fong. In the Blood Valley, Dong Xinjun was defeated by Su Fong. This was a humiliation that he would never be able to wash away. In his opinion, Su Fong was only able to defeat him because Su Fong had the 6 extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body. That was the only reason why he lost. Su Fong had used the 6 extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body, to destroy the world-crossing profound door of the foreign race. This meant that he had lost his greatest reliance. 5 elements, sword body. 5 elements, sword chi burst out from Dong Xianjun's body. The 5 elements, sword chi of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth merged into one. They grew and multiplied endlessly, unleashing a ferocious attack toward Su Fong. At this moment, he wanted to use this opportunity to defeat Su Fong, to wash away the humiliation of defeat and the hatred he had for Su Fong. The terrifying 5 elements sword body exploded with Taoist rhymes and sword will. The surrounding cultivators were only affected by it. Their Taoist hearts were impacted, and they had no choice but to defend themselves. Gu Tianqi raised his eyebrows and reminded Su Fong, "Su Fong, be careful." He was also worried that Su Fong's overall strength would be affected after losing the 6 extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body. Moreover, this was in the Blood Valley. In the Blood Valley, other than the Blood Evil Celestial Body, all other abilities would be suppressed. It would be difficult for Su Fong to defeat Dong Xianjun like he did in the Blood Valley. Moreover, Dong Xianjun was also a famous peerless genius in the Eastern Xian Divine Domain. He was also listed on the Heavenly Xian ranking. Why would I need the 6 extreme Tao, Saint Celestial Body to deal with you? Su Fong revealed a domineering smile. The Xian Huang, Celestial Body, quickly appeared, and a 6-story pagoda shadow surrounded his body. Tut tut tut. Qin Heng, Wu Meng, and the other experts, including the cultivators he saved in the ancient Blue City, a total of close to 3,000 cultivators, all of them channeled their power into the black and yellow celestial body. At this moment, Su Fong's aura rose swiftly, and it instantly surpassed the Tao Lord realm, and even surpassed ordinary Tao Lords to arrive at the peak of the Tao Lord realm. The 6-floored pagoda doors of the pagoda phantom opened, bursting with 6 divine powers that clashed with Dong Xianjun's 5 elemental sword chi. Ka ka ka. Boom. Dong Xianjun's 5 elemental sword chi shattered with a loud boom. His body was also pushed back continuously from the impact, and a stream of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Su Fong was knocked back 3 steps. His black and yellow Dharma body swayed for a while, but in the end, it was safe and sound. The second confrontation between the mysterious yellow celestial body and the 5 elements sword body ended in the mysterious yellow celestial body's complete victory. This scene shocked all the cultivators present. Only now did everyone realize that even without the Xianhuang avatar, Su Fong was still the powerful Su Fong who could kill a peak Tao Lord with a cultivation base of the lower Tao Lord realm. Looks like we've underestimated him. Gu Tianqi heaved a sigh of relief. Dong Xianjun's face turned ashen. He'd originally planned to avenge his humiliation, but in the end, this was the result. One could imagine how he felt. Su Fong looked at Dong Xianzheng and shouted, "Where is my grandfather's soul now?" Dong Xianzheng was also shocked by the strength Su Fong had displayed. However, it was impossible for him to submit to Su Fong. He gritted his teeth and laughed maniacally. "You stole my Tao partner in the Pongsong universe, and the enmity between us is as deep as the ocean. Your grandfather's soul was naturally obliterated by me." Boom! There was an explosion in Su Fong's head, and his eyes instantly turned blood red. So Su Fong and the Heaven Pavilion genius actually have such a grudge. No wonder Su Fong is so aggressive this time, and doesn't seem like he's going to show any mercy. Su Fong is indeed Su Fong. When he was still in a low-level universe, he stole the Tao partner of a Heaven Pavilion genius. Dong Xianzheng was cuckolded by Su Fong, and Su Fong's grandfather's soul was obliterated by Dong Xianzheng. Now, the two of them are in a situation where one of them has to die. Unless one of them dies, it'll be difficult to resolve. Dong Xianzheng's strength isn't much, but he's acting all high and mighty. No wonder he was cuckolded. What Heaven Pavilion genius? He's more like a cuckold. The many cultivators in the hall, as well as the top geniuses of the Eastern Xian Divine Domain, finally understood why Su Fong was so aggressive and overbearing this time. Everyone was secretly communicating with their divine consciousness, and there were also cultivators from the heaven-forsaken wilderness who were whispering. Someone called Dong Xianzheng a cuckold genius, and everyone agreed. Then there was a wave of mockery and ridicule. Dong Xianzheng, you killed my grandfather's soul. I'll use your life and the entire Chun clan of the Mirror Moon mystic world to accompany my grandfather in death. When Su Fong heard that his grandfather's soul had been obliterated, he had completely lost his mind. His blood-fiend body merged with his physical body under the control of his murderous intent, and a terrifying murderous aura erupted as he charged toward Dong Xianzheng. The shocking murderous intent made Dong Xianzheng feel as if he was trapped in an ice cave. His entire body was frozen stiff, and his Tao heart was trembling. For a moment, he actually forgot to run for his life. Dong Xianjun was about to help when Su Fong said in a murderous voice, "Whoever dares to stop me from killing Dong Xianzheng will be Su Fong's mortal enemy." Dong Xianjun's heart skipped a beat, and he dismissed the idea of helping. Su Fong's grandfather's soul had been obliterated, and this was an irreconcilable grudge. Although Dong Xianjun and Su Fong were also enemies, it wasn't an irreconcilable grudge. Fights between cultivators, and even battles to the death, were very common in the Eastern Xian divine domain. They usually didn't involve family members. Dong Xianzheng had a grudge against Su Fong, but he had killed Su Fong's family. This was a shameful thing in the first place. QL11, if Dong Xianjun attacked now, it would be the same as making a mortal enemy of Su Fong. Moreover, it wouldn't do him any good. Just as Dong Xianzheng was about to be engulfed by Su Fong's murderous aura, a thought suddenly swept across the sky, turning into a giant dragon formed by intertwining black and white. The giant dragon formed by the thought was vivid and lifelike, and emanated an astonishing aura of the great Tao of yin and yang. It let out a low roar, and actually shattered Su Fong's murderous aura. The roar's power didn't diminish, and it swept towards Su Fong, crashing into Su Fong's blood armor. 2 murderous diagrams and 81 slaying scars shone together, releasing a silver-gray murderous aura that collided with the divine power of yin and yang, and finally dissipated the attack. Su Fong's blood armor dimmed in an instant, and he was forced to retreat from the impact. His qi and blood surged as he spat out a mouthful of blood. What a powerful expert! Although his cultivation base is only at the upper Daolord realm, his true ability has surpassed the Daolord realm. Su Fong was shocked as he looked over. A silver-robed youth stood in front of Dong Xianzheng. He stood there calmly, but it gave Su Fong the feeling of standing at the pinnacle and looking down on the world. The silver-robed youth looked at Su Fong calmly and said, "This seat is Dong Xian Glorious." Dong Xian Glorious? Another powerful figure from the Eastern Profound Pavilion. However, Su Fong had never heard of such a person before. Gu Qianqi transmitted his consciousness over. "Su Fong, don't clash with Dong Xian Glorious. This person is even more powerful than me, and is ranked in the top 10 among the Eastern Profound Pavilion's disciples. He is also Dong Xian Daozu's personal disciple. His identity and ability are both impressive. There are less than 10 geniuses in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain who are ranked in the Tianxian ranking, and this person is one of them. A Daolord's personal disciple, ranked in the top 10 of the Heaven Pavilion, and a peerless genius of the Tianxian ranking's Heaven ranking. No wonder Gu Tianqi was so wary. As the top disciple of the 3 sovereign profound sects, he was only ranked in the Earth ranking on the Tianxian ranking. There was quite a gap between him and Dong Xian Glorious. I swear to kill Dong Xianzheng today. Who can stop me? Knowing Dong Xian Glorious' identity, Su Fong didn't retreat, but his murderous intent grew even stronger. Dong Xian Glorious spoke. The dignity of the Heaven Pavilion cannot be violated. Seeing that you have contributed to the Eastern Profound Divine Domain by stopping the invasion of the foreign tribes, this reputed one will not pursue your crime of offending a Heaven Pavilion disciple. Su Fong coldly countered, What if I insist on killing Dong Xianzheng today? Dong Xian Glorious said lightly. With this reputed one here, you can't touch a single hair of a Heaven Pavilion disciple. Ling Xingchen suddenly spoke up. Young Master Glorious, Su Fang has always been arrogant and domineering. Not only our sect, but even the Heaven Pavilion has never been in his eyes. He thinks that he has contributed greatly this time. Not to mention you. Even our sect's great Elder Zhang's son and the Heaven Pavilion's exalted Venerable Chuanxiu are not in his eyes. Gu Tianqi raised an eyebrow. Ling Xingchen, this is a matter between the Heaven Pavilion disciple and Su Fang. You're trying to sow discord between them. What do you think of this reputed one? Ling Xingchen smiled awkwardly and didn't say anything else. Dong Xian Glorious looked at Su Fang. If you insist on acting rashly and don't know how to respect me, this reputed one will suppress you no matter how great your contribution is. I will let the world know that in the Eastern profound divine domain, Heaven Pavilion is the heavens and no one can defy it. Those who defy it will die. His tone was calm, but it was full of dominance. Hua Tiannu suddenly spoke up. Ancient Blue City colluded with the Endless Sun sect and sacrificed countless cultivators and mortals to lure the foreign tribes in. When the foreign tribes' experts entered the heaven-forsaken wasteland, where was the heavens that Lord Dong Xian Glorious spoke of? Dong Xian Glorious raised an eyebrow. Gu Tianqi said, when the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot Tan appeared, Dong Xianjun, Dong Xianzheng, and the other geniuses all fled and disappeared without a trace. Even this reputed one fled in fright. Only Su Fang stood up bravely. Dong Xianjun's face flushed red as he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Hua Tiannu shouted, in the time of danger, the Heaven Pavilion disciple escaped alone. Now, you Heaven Pavilion disciples are spouting nonsense here and bullying Su Fang, who once saved Dongxuan's entire human race. I, Hua Tiannu, am the first to refuse to accept this. Dong Xian Glorious shouted domineeringly, you ant, how dare you look down on Heaven Pavilion? At this time, another cultivator in the hall shouted loudly, I refuse to accept the way Heaven Pavilion disciples treat Su Fang. I refuse to accept this. I refuse to accept this. Whoever dares to bully Su Fang will have to step over our dead bodies. Chapter 28:04. Heaven-forsaken wasteland was different from other mystical worlds. Due to the harsh environment, bandits were as plentiful as the hairs on a cow, and the cultivators were bloodthirsty, crazy, and arrogant. However, Su Fang had sacrificed himself to save countless cultivators and mortals in ancient Blue City. He had also sacrificed the 6 extreme Dao sane avatars and risked his life to stop the invasion of the other tribes, saving the entire heaven-forsaken wasteland. These actions had earned the respect of all the cultivators of heaven-forsaken wasteland. In addition, Su Fang came from a low-level universe, making the cultivators of heaven-forsaken wasteland see him as one of their own. Now, Dong Xian Huihuang's oppressive actions had incited public anger. In an instant, a tsunami of voices shook the entire city. It was not only voices, but also the will of faith of countless cultivators of heaven-forsaken wasteland. Gathered together, even the peerless experts who had surpassed the Dao master level were frightened. Dong Xian Huihuang's expression changed. Facing the will of so many cultivators, no matter how domineering and powerful he was, he could not suppress the will of so many people. It was only now that he realized how terrifying Su Fang's reputation was among the cultivators of heaven-forsaken wasteland. He had no doubt that Su Fang only needed to raise his arms and shout, and countless cultivators of heaven-forsaken wasteland would swarm over without hesitation and crush him into dust. Let's go! Dong Xian Huihuang snorted coldly and was about to bring Dong Xianzheng away from the free and unfettered godhead. Su Fang suddenly shouted domineeringly, leave Dong Xianzheng behind before you leave. Dong Xian Huihuang was arrogant, still not taking Su Fang seriously. If you have the ability, leave him behind from this reputed one's hands. As you wish. Su Fang's gaze landed on Dong Xianzheng. The mysterious Tao aura from the life shrinking art condensed into an invisible thread. Life-pulling karmic thread. Dong Xian Huihuang's strength was not something the current Su Fong could resist. It would be difficult to kill Dong Xianzheng under his protection. However, Dong Xianzheng had wiped out Su Fong's grandfather's soul. How could Su Fong let him go so easily? Even if he could not kill him, he would plant the karmic fate shrinking art and use it to control Dong Xianzheng. To a proud genius like Dong Xianzheng, having his fate controlled by others was worse than death. Qi. The life-pulling karma thread shot out from between Su Fong's brows, transcending the restraints of time and space as it extended towards Dong Xianzheng. The heavens will alter is a supreme ability to plant karma and control fate. Dong Xianhuihuang was indeed a peerless genius who was ranked in the Tianxian ranking. He could actually sense the existence of a life-connecting karma thread and fell into a state of intense shock. However, it was one thing to be able to sense it. Even if Dong Xuan's prowess was heaven-defying, it could not stop anything. Dong Xianzheng had some understanding of the heavenly secret life shrinking art. His gaze changed instantly as fear and despair filled his eyes. At this moment, Qi, an ethereal blade slashed at the life manipulation karmic thread with the domineering power of fate. This slash was not aimed at the physical body, nor was it aimed at the spiritual world. It was aimed at the ethereal fate that could sever all the shackles of fate. Life-severing blade. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that someone would use the divine secret life-shortening technique to cut off fate's supreme supernatural power, the life-severing blade, to deal with Su Fong's life-leading karma thread. The illusory blade slashed down and severed the life-pulling karma thread. Puffed. Su Fong's supernatural power was broken, and he immediately suffered a backlash. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly weakened, and some white hair grew on his temples. The crowd did not understand what had happened. Seeing Su Fong suddenly suffering a heavy blow, they were all baffled. How would they know that the confrontation earlier was much more thrilling than the collision of thoughts, supernatural powers, and Xianbao? Su Fong stared at the door and shouted in a low voice, "Dong Xianrong, come out." A woman in green slowly walked into the hall from outside the door. This woman's appearance was identical to Dong Xianzheng's, but she looked rather easygoing and calm. Dong Xianrong. This woman was Dong Xianzheng's elder sister, Dong Xianrong. Only she had mastered the divine secret life shrinking art and used the life-severing blade to break Su Fong's life-pulling karma thread. However, she also paid a hefty price for this. The black hair on her temples had turned white, and her appearance had turned into that of a woman in her 30s. Such a price far exceeded Su Fong's. After all, Su Fong had the celestial yang dharma body and the sky-piercing blood king vine seed that could restore life. He could quickly replenish the depleted vitality. QL11, however, Dong Xianrong was different. Once her lifespan was depleted, it was very difficult to restore it unless it was some extremely rare medicinal pill that could restore lifespan. Dong Xianrong forced a smile. Su Fong, we meet again. Su Fong was filled with murderous intent. This meeting will be the death of you siblings. Back then, it was Dong Xianrong who had captured Su Fong's grandfather's soul. Now that his soul had been wiped out by Dong Xianzheng, Dong Xianrong could not escape the blame. Naturally, Su Fong listed her as a must-kill target. Su Fong, Dong Xianrong was about to speak. Dong Xianrong's voice that was filled with murderous intent rang out. Su Fong, you are so arrogant and despotic. Do you really think that this reputed one dares not attack you? As soon as his voice fell, a thought turned into a huge black and white dragon, roaring and pouncing towards Su Fong. It opened its mouth wide and exploded with the power of yin and yang, wanting to suppress Su Fong. Suddenly, from the depths of the void, a palm that was filled with the strong smell of alcohol lightly tapped the huge dragon. Poof! The huge dragon formed by Dong Xianrong's thought and the erupting power of yin and yang shattered instantly and turned into nothingness. Then a silhouette walked out of the void. It was not the real person, but a shadow formed by his thought. It was a young man in his early 20s. He was quite handsome, but his long hair was scattered, and the shadow, formed by his thought, was actually exuding a strong smell of alcohol. Once the shadow appeared, the entire hall was filled with the smell of alcohol, suppressing all auras and making people feel dizzy and lightheaded. "You are." Su Fong was shocked and bewildered. He never would have thought that there would be such a person helping him. Moreover, this person was so strange and powerful. Although Su Fong could not judge his strength, he could guess that this person was much stronger than Great Elder Zhang Sun and the Supreme Elder Spring and Autumn. Dongxian Rong's brows furrowed, a helpless and respectful expression showing in his eyes. He cupped his fists and bowed towards the shadow. "Dongxian Rong greets Senior Wine Saint." Wine Saint? Was it an honorific title or a name? However, the name was very appropriate. Even his thought was filled with the smell of alcohol. Being called the Wine Saint was indeed worthy of his name. Gu Qianxi, Dongxian Jun, and the other top geniuses of Dongxian obviously knew this person's identity and greeted him one after another. The Wine Saint did not pay attention to the geniuses, his gaze scrutinizing Su Fong carefully. Su Fong felt like he had been seen through from the inside out, his hair standing on end. The Wine Saint chuckled and looked at Dongxian Rong. "This saint is drinking to my heart's content, but you little bastard are bullying me here. This saint is so angry that I've lost all interest in drinking. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me?" The Wine Saint's words were rude and domineering, like a drunkard who is unreasonable. Dongxian Rong dared not retort, forcing himself to say, "I wonder how Senior Wine Saint wants this junior to compensate." The Wine Saint shadow scratched his head and chuckled. "You're quite straightforward. I'll forgive you this time. Compensate this saint with a pot of rainbow blood lotus brew." Dongxian Rong was shocked and said with a bitter smile, "The rainbow blood lotus brew that Senior is talking about is made with the rainbow blood lotus's root as the main ingredient and more than 100 spiritual items. It is a supreme brew brewed with a secret method. Other spiritual items aside, the rainbow blood lotus can only be found in the profound nether divine domain where the other tribes reside. Where can this junior find such a peerless spiritual item?" The Wine Saint shadow said rudely, "What? Are you trying to renege on your debt?" "Senior, this junior is Dongxian Daozu's direct disciple." Dongxian Rong had no choice but to bring up Dongxian Daozu. "This saint is not a Dongxian cultivator. Your Heaven Pavilion signboard can't scare this saint. Trying to renege on my debt." "Humph." The Wine Saint snorted coldly, a strong scent of alcohol immediately enveloping Dongxian Rong. The scent of alcohol contained a shocking Dao. Dongxian Rong's face flushed red, his eyes glazed over, his breath filled with the pungent scent of alcohol. He swayed as he stood there, as if he was drunk. "Wine Saint, don't you go too far." The Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn tore through the air angrily, releasing a strand of thought to help Dongxian Rong dispel the scent of alcohol. Dongxian Rong finally sobered up, but he looked like a mortal with a hangover. His breath was weak, obviously having suffered a great loss. The Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn said angrily, "Wine Saint, this reputed one respects you because you are a guest from Xixin. You are a divine saint expert, but today you attacked a Heaven Pavilion disciple for no reason. What is the meaning of this?" The Wine Saint was actually from Xixin Divine Domain. Su Fong was struck by a sudden realization. The Wine Saint had come all the way from Xixin Divine Domain. He had most likely received Xixin Daozu's order to help Su Fong resolve the huge crisis caused by the spider's exposure. Then he must be one of them. No wonder he had suddenly helped and caused Dongxian Rong to suffer a great loss. The Wine Saint smiled and said, "This saint is drunk and is just joking with a junior." "What? Can't you even take a joke?" The Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn felt a headache coming, but he could do nothing about the Wine Saint. The Wine Saint looked at Su Fong and said with a smile, "I think you are a good kid. Since Dongxian can't tolerate you, why don't you come to Xixin with this saint?" Su Fong is a Dongxian cultivator. He has done a great service for Dongxian this time, and Heaven Pavilion wants to put him in an important position. How can we let him go to Xixian Divine Domain? Without waiting for Su Fong to speak, the Supreme Elder of Spring and Autumn quickly stopped him. His purpose of keeping Su Fong was naturally because he was unwilling to give up on the spider. As long as Su Fong was still in Xixian Divine Domain, he might still have a chance to get the spider. If Su Fong was really taken away by the Wine Saint, then all hope would be lost. In his opinion, the reason why the Wine Saint had helped Su Fong was naturally not because he was drunk. If a Tao Saint expert was really drunk, wouldn't it be the biggest joke in the world? He thought that the Wine Saint's goal was also to get Su Fong's spider. Of course, he would not let Su Fong leave. Chapter 28:05. The Wine Saint was trying to recruit Su Fong in front of everyone, and the exalted venerable Spring Autumn couldn't do anything about it. The Wine Saint was much stronger than him. So what could he do? Who knew? Su Fong refused decisively. I am very grateful for my lord's good intentions. I will go to West Profound one day, but for now, I still have many things to do in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain, so I can't go with you. If he went to the Western Profound Divine Domain now, he would be able to settle everything once and for all. He wouldn't have to worry about being oppressed by supreme forces like the Heaven Pavilion and the three highest profound sects. Moreover, Su Fong was the disciple of the West Profound Daozu. His status in West Profound would be incomparably noble, and he could get whatever he wanted in the future. However, this would be detrimental to Su Fong's cultivation. A cultivator should defy the heavens and surpass the peak again and again. In a peaceful environment, one's achievements would be limited. Moreover, the danger brought by the luck spider had been resolved, so the Heaven Pavilion and the three highest profound sects wouldn't dare to openly snatch the luck spider. If Su Fong went to the Western Profound Divine Domain with the Wine Saint, the West Profound Daozu would definitely look down on Su Fong even if he didn't stop him. This was an outcome that Su Fong definitely didn't want to see. Su Fong's decision made the exalted venerable Spring Autumn sigh in relief. The Wine Saint was not surprised at all. He chuckled mischievously as he secretly transmitted a thought to Su Fong with his primordial spirit. Little junior brother, you are indeed not bad. No wonder Master is full of praises for you. Work hard in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. Don't disgrace Master. Little junior brother, Su Fong's guess was right. The Wine Saint was sent by the West Profound Daozu to help him in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. After all, it involved various forces, and the West Profound Daozu wouldn't do it personally. So he sent his disciple to help Su Fong secretly. From this, it could be seen that the West Profound Daozu valued Su Fong very much. The West Profound Daozu probably didn't expect that the huge danger Su Fong faced would be easily resolved by Gu Tianqi. Yes, senior brother Wine Saint. Su Fong replied, feeling overjoyed. The Wine Saint's little shitty also meant that Xixian Daozu acknowledged Su Fong and thought of him as his direct disciple. How could Su Fong, who understood this, not be happy? However, when he thought about how his grandfather's soul had been killed by Dongxian Zheng, Su Fong's mood became heavy once again. His gaze towards Dongxian Zheng and Dongxian Rong suddenly became sharp and cold. With exalted, venerable Spring and Autumn around, they naturally wouldn't be able to kill the siblings. However, the two of them were Su Fong's mortal enemies from then on. With Su Fong's various powerful abilities, it would not be difficult to kill them. A thought broke through the air and turned into a middle-aged man in a white robe. Once this figure appeared, even Wine Saint's expression turned solemn. Exalted Elder Spring Autumn, Dongxian Hui Wang, and the others cupped their fists in greeting. This person's identity was obvious. He was the messenger from the mysterious Destiny platform. The white-robed, middle-aged man's disdainful gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Su Fong. He said majestically, "You are Su Fong? Come to the residence of Dallas City, Lord, quickly. This reputed one wants to see you. Lord Wine Saint, exalted Elder Spring Autumn, come as well." With a flash of divine light, the silhouette formed by the thought disappeared without a trace. The Saint of Wine reminded Su Fong Junior brother, they're going to reward you based on your contribution. Don't get your hopes up too high. Dongxuan's forces, including the Destiny platform, aren't anything good. They're all eyeing you with their eyes wide open. However, with your senior brother here, the Destiny platform won't be able to do anything to you. Su Fang's heart skipped a beat as he became alert. If it weren't for senior brother Wine Saint's reminder, I would have almost forgotten about the Destiny platform. Other than senior brother Wine Saint, the Destiny platform and the other forces didn't come to Dongxian just to investigate the invasion of the other tribes. They're most likely here for my Destiny platform. The Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion and the 3 highest mysterious sects are not the only ones who want to snatch my luck spider. Treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. Strength. Before these exceptional experts, my strength is still too weak. Compared to my strength, the luck spider is too alluring. Su Fang became alert. At the same time, he felt immense pressure. Exalted Elder Spring Autumn said majestically, "Let's go. Don't let the lords from the Destiny platform wait too long." Su Fang glanced at Dongxian Zheng and Dongxian Rong deeply. Dongxian Zheng shuddered. He knew that Su Fang had formed a death grudge with him. What awaited him next was Su Fang's crazy revenge. Thinking of Su Fang's strength and ruthless methods, Dongxian Zheng could not help but shudder. Su Fang. He did not expect Dongxian Rong to send a telepathic message to Su Fang. Su Fang replied coldly, "Dongxian Rong, things have come to this point. It's already a situation where only one of us will die. There's no point in saying more." Dongxian Rong continued to send a telepathic message. "Su Fang, listen to me first. Your grandfather's soul is safe and sound now. What Dongxian Zheng said earlier was just to provoke you." Is that true?" Su Fang raised his eyebrows and looked at Dongxian Rong. His eyes shone with a sharp light. "When I captured your grandfather's soul from Pongsong Universe, I didn't plan to use it to threaten you. How could I erase your grandfather's soul?" Dongxian Rong's words made the killing intent in Su Fang's heart vanish. If his grandfather's soul was really erased, it would be useless even if he killed Dongxian Zheng and Dongxian Rong, or even annihilated their entire family. Now that his grandfather's soul was safe and sound, Su Fang was naturally pleasantly surprised. Su Fang asked, "Where's my grandfather's soul now?" "Don't worry. I've made proper arrangements for your grandfather's soul after I left Pongsong Universe and returned to Dongxian. It's 100 times better than what you can imagine. Let go of my grandfather's soul, and I can let bygones be bygones." "Sure, but you have to promise me one thing." Su Fang raised his eyebrows. "What is it?" "You and Dongxian Zheng will have a fair duel within 1,000,000 years. No matter who wins or loses, I will give your grandfather's soul to you intact. It's a deal." Su Fang agreed without hesitation. Not to mention Dongxian Zheng. Even if it was a duel with Dongxian Huiwang, Su Fang would agree without hesitation. Besides, why would Su Fang care about Dongxian Zheng now? What puzzled Su Fang was that Dongxian Rong knew that it was impossible for Dongxian Zheng to defeat Su Fang. So why did she still propose such a condition? However, Su Fang was not afraid of Dongxian Rong's schemes. In the face of powerful strength, all schemes were useless. "Dongxian Rong, I agree to your condition, but there is something I have to say first. 1,000,000 years later, if my grandfather's soul is damaged in the slightest, not only you and Dongxian Zheng, I will wipe out the entire Qin clan of the Mirror Moon mystical world." Su Fang said coldly, and then left the hall with Wine Saint and Exalted Spring and Autumn, heading straight for the residence of the Dallas City Lord. Dongxian Rong glanced at Dongxian Zheng and sighed inwardly. She said, "Little brother, let's go." Dongxian Zheng transmitted his thoughts with his soul. "Sister, what did you say to Su Fang just now?" Dongxian Rong replied, "I'll help you arrange a duel with Su Fang. 1,000,000 years later, you'll have an open duel with him." Dongxian Zheng was shocked and stunned. "Ah, sister, why are you doing this? I've told you long ago that some people are destined to rise against the heavens. Whoever stands in their way will be crushed into dust. This Su Fang belongs to this kind of person. However, you didn't listen and tried to provoke him again and again. In terms of talent, you have the supreme mystical constitution and are not inferior to Su Fang. In terms of background and the various cultivation resources you enjoy now, Su Fong can't compare to you. Therefore, I've created an opportunity for you. In the duel 1,000,000 years later, if you could defeat Su Fong, you can step on his head and become famous in Dongxian. From then on, you'll rise to the top. If you're defeated by him, you must completely dispel the thought of becoming his enemy. In the future, whenever you see him, you must take a detour so as to avoid dying miserably at his hands and bringing a calamity to your clan. Dongxian Rong's soul was filled with extreme sternness. 1,000,000 years later, I, Dongxian Zheng, will step on Su Fong's head to wash away the shame and become famous in Dongxian. Dongxian Zheng's eyes were filled with determination. When the geniuses of the Eastern Xian divine domain left, the hall and outside the carefree divine pavilion were filled with exclamations and exclamations. Hua Tianyu stared at Zhong Daiyun and chuckled. "Miss Zhong, does what you said before still count?" Zhong Daiyun's face flushed red as she nodded and said, "Why not? It's a pity that even if I want to become Su Fong's concubine, he might not agree." Hua Tianyu smiled embarrassedly. "Let's go and save your father quickly." Daolis City's City Lord Manor. In a dazzling palace. Supreme Elder Spring Autumn, Great Elder Chang's son, experts from various forces of the Eastern Xian divine domain, Wine Saint from Western Xian, and experts from other divine domains were gathered. Although Supreme Elder Spring Autumn's strength was not the highest, he represented the Eastern Xian divine pavilion, so he sat in the most central seat. On the two thrones, Wine Saint sat on the right, and a middle-aged man in white robes sat on the left. This person had fair skin and an elegant temperament. His aura was empty, and he looked like a scholar who could not even trust a chicken. However, everyone, including Supreme Elder Spring Autumn, looked at him with respect. That was because this person came from the most mysterious and terrifying human force in the Jiushuan divine domain. Heaven's Fate platform. In front of everyone, Su Fong slowly narrated what had happened in the ancient Blue City. Su Fong did not even hide the matter of the mobile spider. After all, it was impossible to hide it even if he wanted to. However, Su Fong did not mention anything about the abilities that were not shown in the jade slips circulating outside. He was not a fool, so why would he reveal his true strength? Then, he called Gu Qianqi over. QL 11 in front of everyone. Gu Qianqi condensed a picture of what had happened that day and reproduced the entire process clearly. Chapter 28:06. Gu Qianqi's honest account of the incident infuriated Great Elder Chang's son of the three profound sects, but he could not flare up in front of everyone. Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn waved at Gu Qianqi. "Gu Qianqi, you may leave." After Gu Qianqi left, Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn said in a majestic voice, "This reputed one thinks that this matter can be concluded. Su Fong has indeed succeeded in stopping the invasion of the other races." Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn had no choice. Su Fong's contribution was there for all to see. The other experts nodded in agreement. Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn looked at Su Fong. "Su Fong, what reward would you like for your great contribution to Dongxian?" Wine Saint and other experts from other divine realms frowned deeply. Su Fong had made such a great contribution that Dongxian Heavenly Pavilion could reward him with any reward. Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn asked what reward Su Fong wanted. In front of so many experts, how could Su Fong, a mere Dao Lord Cultivator, dare to speak? Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn was obviously planning to give Su Fong some benefits and then send Su Fong away. Little did he know, Su Fong said honestly, "I don't dare to ask for too much of a reward. In order to destroy the world-crossing mystic gate of the foreign races, I burned my 6 extreme Dao Saint avatars. Why don't I ask Heaven Pavilion to compensate me and reward me with a Dao Saint avatar?" Dao Saint avatar? Everyone was stunned. Dao Saint experts were not cabbages that could be found anywhere. How many Dao Saints were there in Dongxian Divine Realm, where experts were as common as clouds? Although Heaven Pavilion ruled Dongxian Divine Realm, it was not that they did not have treasures similar to Dao Saint avatars, but it was impossible for Heaven Pavilion to take out such a shocking treasure. However, Su Fong had lost his 6 extreme Dao Sane avatar to stop the other race's invasion. Heaven Pavilion compensating him for his loss did not seem to be an unreasonable request, but a reasonable one. Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn coughed dryly and said solemnly, Su Fong has made a great contribution in stopping the other race's invasion of the human world. Heaven Pavilion will naturally reward him handsomely. As for the reward, I will report it to Heaven Pavilion's upper echelons. After the upper echelons have a discussion, we will decide the reward. Thank you, my lord. Su Fong cupped his fists and thanked him. He sneered in his heart. How could he not see that exalted, venerable Spring and Autumn had given him a blank check? With Su Fong's personality, he naturally wouldn't lose the 6 extreme Dao Sage, celestial body, for nothing. Su Fong cupped his fists and bowed to the Supreme Elder and Supreme Elder. Then he said sincerely, I have a favor to ask of the 2 of you. What is it? In the past, I have offended the disciples of the Heaven Pavilion and the 3 supreme mysterious sects. I hope that the 2 of you can give me a way out in the future on account of my contributions. High Holiness, Spring, Autumn, and Grand Elder were stunned. Soon after, they realized Su Fong's intention. Both of them were furious. Su Fong was clearly trying to take advantage of the situation and force them to make a public promise that they would not take revenge on Su Fong in the future. They had just confirmed that Su Fong had made a great contribution. If they didn't agree in front of everyone, it would be inexcusable. At this moment, the wine sage chuckled and said, Just now you said that you would give Su Fong a big reward. Could it be that you want to kill him now? The exalted sage of Spring and Autumn raised his eyebrows and nodded. I can guarantee that the Heaven Pavilion will not intervene in the dispute between you and the disciples of the Heaven Pavilion. I can also guarantee that the elders of the Heaven Pavilion will not interfere in the fight between you juniors. Although the disciples of the Heaven Pavilion had a conflict with Su Fong, it wasn't an irreconcilable feud. Thus, High Holiness Spring Autumn would naturally agree so easily. The only thing that made High Holiness Spring Autumn's heart ache was that Su Fong had plundered all kinds of treasures that had been accumulated for millions of years in the second-star killer city of the Blood Valley. Even the city lord was killed by Su Fong. There was no way to settle this score with Su Fong. However, Great Elder Zhongsun was still hesitating. Su Fong had killed so many experts of the 3 highest profound sects. Even his grandson had died because of Su Fong. How could he let Su Fong off so easily? The wine sage sneered. I recently heard that the experts of the 3 highest profound sects have hunted down Su Fong many times. Even Great Elder Zhongsun had personally taken action. A dignified Great Elder of the 3 highest profound sects actually hunted down a mere Dao Lord Cultivator. He sect second only to the Heaven Pavilion in the Eastern Profound Divine region is really daring. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All the experts in the palace looked at Great Elder Zhongsun. Great Elder Zhongsun had no choice but to grit his teeth and say, I promise you that the 3 highest profound sects will let bygones be bygones. Su Fong was still worried. Although Great Elder Zhongsun's grandson Zhongsun Yaoyang was killed by the will of the Blood Valley, it was because of me. Great Elder is a magnanimous person. I'm sure you won't make things difficult for me because of this, right? Phew, Great Elder Zhongsun blew out a breath of air, causing his beard to dance wildly. He said angrily, My grandson was killed by you for nothing. Are you satisfied now? Su Fong repeatedly expressed his thanks. Many thanks to Great Elder Zhongsun for being so broad-minded. This humble one admires you. However, Great Elder is Dongshuan's peerless expert. Your words carry weight, and you won't go back on your words. Am I right, Great Elder Zhongsun? Great Elder Zhongsun was so angry that he was about to spit out blood, but he couldn't do anything. He simply closed his eyes on the throne for fear that he would lose control and kill Su Fong. Exalted Lord Spring and Autumn quickly changed the topic. There's one more important matter. The sky-piercing Blood King Vine has yet to be captured. The whereabouts of ancient Blue City's cultivator, Pan Song, who colluded with the other races, are unknown as well. The remaining members of Endless Sun sect, who are controlled by the evil god's descent, have yet to be completely wiped out. Heaven Pavilion will post a wanted list in the entire Dongxian. The experts from Dongxuan's various forces nodded in agreement. Then, the experts discussed the next step of the other races after their failed invasion of Dongxian. The situation was obviously not so optimistic. If the other races could invade from Dongxuan's heaven-forsaken wasteland, they could also attack from anywhere else. After this failure, they would definitely not let the matter rest. They were lucky this time to be stopped by Su Fong, but they would not be so lucky next time. The discussion went on for a long time. They could not come up with any good ideas. They could only ask the major forces to be more vigilant and work together to deal with the invasion of the other races. It was about to come to an end. The middle-aged man in white robes, who had been sitting on the throne without speaking, suddenly looked at Su Fong and said, "Since you've cultivated the art of life contraction, you could be considered an outer disciple of the Destiny Altar. You've done a great service for the human race this time. Even the Destiny Altar has been alerted. They intend to bring you into the Destiny Altar to cultivate and become its direct disciple. Are you willing?" In that instant, the entire palace was silent. The Destiny Altar was mysterious and unpredictable. It could be said that it was the most powerful force of the human race in the Jiushuan God realm. The powerhouses in the palace were all peak powerhouses of their respective divine realms. However, not a single one of them knew the exact location of the Destiny Arena. They only knew that it was located in the Middle Mystic region. It was clear just how mysterious the Destiny Arena was. In the history of the human race, there have been countless battles with the other races. Each time, the Destiny Altar's experts were present and played a role like a stabilizing force. Therefore, the Destiny Altar was faintly regarded as the leader of the human race. Now, the Destiny Altar's envoy had actually opened his mouth to recruit Su Fong, asking Su Fong to join the Destiny Altar. What kind of opportunity was this? Once Su Fong entered the Destiny Altar, it was imaginable what kind of amazing achievements he would have in the future. Supreme Elder Chunxiu, Great Elder Chang's son, and the other Dongxian experts looked at Su Fong in a different light. No matter how great Su Fong's contribution was, it was all in the past to these experts. Su Fong's entry into the Destiny Altar meant that Su Fong's identity was completely different from before. It was enough to make them pay attention and be wary of him. Su Fong cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, sir. However, this one already has a master. It is not suitable for me to join the Destiny Altar. Please forgive me, sir." Everyone in the palace turned to look, disbelief in their eyes. The middle-aged man in white smiled and said, "Who is your master? Let this reputed one talk to him and ask you to withdraw from his tutelage." The wine saint suddenly laughed loudly, as if he had heard the funniest thing in the Jiushuan God realm. The strong smell of alcohol filled the palace along with his laughter, making the experts drunk. The middle-aged man in white actually planned to talk to the Shi Xian Daozu and ask Su Fong to withdraw from Daozu's tutelage. Of course, it was not as simple as just words. There was definitely a lot of coercion and temptation involved. The Destiny Altar was indeed mysterious and powerful, but that was relative to the entire force. Only a few pinnacle existences were qualified to be on the same level as the Shi Xian Daozu. This white-robed envoy was extraordinary as well, but he was only a slightly larger ant in front of the Shi Xian Daozu. What was this if not a joke? The wine saint's unbridled laughter made the white-robed envoy's eyes flash with displeasure. He asked faintly, "Lord Wine Saint, do you think this reputed one's words are funny?" The wine saint stroked his messy beard and nodded. "Funny, very funny. Su Fong's master is someone that even this saint has to kneel to when I see him. But you want to snatch his disciple. Isn't this funny?" The white-robed envoy's aura changed instantly. The other experts in the palace also sucked in a breath of cold air. Their eyes were filled with surprise and shock when they looked at Su Fong. The wine saint did not look like he was talking nonsense, because he was drunk. He also did not dare to talk nonsense about such a supreme existence. His words were most likely true. What kind of terrifying existence was it that made the wine saint, a Tao saint expert, kneel to him? The wine saint chuckled. His gaze swept across the crowd and finally looked at the white-robed envoy. Everyone, don't blame this saint for not reminding you earlier. Don't make wild guesses and don't spread rumors. Otherwise, if you anger that person, you will be responsible for your own fortune and misfortune. Everyone's heart shuddered. Supreme Elder Spring Autumn and First Elder Zhang Sun completely dispelled the thought of taking revenge on Su Fong. However, they still had some fantasies about Su Fong's wushu. The white-robed envoy from the Destiny altar was silent for a moment. He stared at Su Fong and said, "Since you have already become a disciple of another expert, then this reputed one will not force you. Hand over the wushu." Chapter 28:07. Now is not the time to back down. Su Fong did not budge. He said in a neither servile nor overbearing tone, "The luck spider is my life-saving treasure. It is inconvenient for me to show it to others. Please forgive me." The white-robed middle-aged man did not expect Su Fong to reject him so decisively. He was stunned. Then he smiled faintly. "Your luck spider is the offspring of the Destiny platform's luck spider. Naturally, it belongs to the Destiny platform. The offspring of the Destiny platform's luck spider." Su Fong laughed involuntarily. He did not expect such an expert to lie in order to obtain the luck spider. Su Fong asked, "Sir, do you know where I obtained my luck spider? Where did the adult spider on the Heaven's Mandate stage reproduce?" The white-robed middle-aged man was speechless. He snorted. "This is a secret of the Destiny platform. How can I tell others so casually?" Su Fong said, "My luck spider was obtained from the Blood Valley swamp. The Blood Valley was refined from the corpse of a powerful foreign race killed by Dongxian Daozu. Therefore, the luck spider is from a foreign race. Sir, you must be mistaken. My luck spider has nothing to do with the luck spider in the Destiny platform." Only then did the crowd know the origin of the luck spider. Some experts regretted it, especially exalted Venerable Spring Autumn. If he had known that there was a luck spider in the Blood Valley, he would have sent the disciples of the Heaven Pavilion to search the entire Blood Valley to get it. How could it have fallen into Su Fong's hands? The white-robed middle-aged man smiled embarrassedly. "It seems that I have made a mistake. However, the luck spider is an extremely ominous creature. Only the Destiny platform can control it. I asked you to hand over the luck spider for your own good. Thank you for your kindness, sir. Since I was able to capture the luck spider, I naturally have the ability to control it." The luck spider suppressed by the Destiny platform caused great chaos in Jioshuan's divine realm. It even devoured the fortune of a powerful foreign race, causing its destruction. How can a little cultivator like you control it? If you lose control, not only will you be unable to protect yourself, but you will also bring a great disaster to Jioshuan. When that time comes, even 100 deaths won't be enough to atone for your sins. The middle-aged man in a white robe said with a heavy tone. A terrifying pressure will enveloped Su Fong. A strong and pungent smell of alcohol swept out, dispelling the white-robed middle-aged man's oppressive will. It turned out that the wine saint had acted in time and helped Su Fong resolve the crisis. The wine saint took out a wine gourd and drank a big mouthful of wine. Then, his mouth was filled with the smell of alcohol. Let's talk nicely. This saint can't stand seeing the strong bullying the weak the most. As long as I see this kind of thing, I can't help but become drunk. Once this saint becomes drunk and crazy, I can't control myself. Once I lose control, I won't even be able to recognize my own parents. Su Fong's incoherent words caused the white-robed middle-aged man to frown deeply. He was quite fearful in his heart and didn't dare to continue threatening Su Fong. Su Fong, you stepped forward bravely and didn't hesitate to sacrifice a Tao Saint's Dharma body to stop the invasion of the foreign races. You're also a person with a deep sense of righteousness. You should know how important the wolf spider is to the entire human race. For the sake of the human race, you should also hand over the wolf spider. The white-robed middle-aged man began to preach to Su Fong. His words were sincere and earnest. Su Fong was neither servile nor overbearing. "My lord, I Su Fong, am also a human. When the human race is in danger, I, Su Fong, will also step forward bravely. The wolf spider can also play a role for the human race in my hands." Su Fong's stubbornness finally angered the white-robed cultivator. The scholarly aura instantly turned into a lofty and imposing aura. "Su Fong, no matter what, the wolf spider must be in the hands of the destiny stage. Do you dare to go against the supreme will of the destiny stage?" Supreme Elder Spring Autumn and Great Elder Zhongsun both looked like they were gloating. Their chances of obtaining the wolf spider were very slim, and Su Fong had completely offended them. Seeing that Su Fong's wolf spider was about to be lost, they were naturally filled with joy. The other experts from Dongxian and other divine realms were indignant on Su Fong's behalf. Su Fong had just done a great service for the human race, and now the Destiny stage wanted to snatch away his wolf spider. The way the Destiny stage handled things was truly tyrannical. However, when it came to the Destiny stage, no one would speak up for Su Fong. At this moment, the wine saint said sarcastically, "Hong Dao Yuan, is it the Destiny stage that wants the wolf spider, or do you, Hong Dao Yuan, want the wolf spider for yourself?" Seeing that the white-robed middle-aged man had begun to threaten Su Fong again, the wine saint's tone was very impolite. With his strength, he didn't need to be polite even when facing an emissary from the Destiny stage. The white-robed middle-aged man, named Hong Dao Yuan, said coldly, "Wine Saint, I am now the emissary of the Destiny stage. What's the difference between me and the Destiny stage?" The Wine Saint took another swig of wine and said mockingly, "The Destiny stage sent you to Dongxuan's heaven-abandoned wasteland to investigate the invasion of the other races. They didn't ask you to snatch the wolf spider of a meritorious person who has done a great service for the human race. If I have the chance to meet the higher-ups of the Destiny stage, I would like to ask when the Destiny stage, which has always been aloof from worldly affairs, has begun to snatch the treasures of cultivators as they wish." Ethereal flames began to burn in Hong Dao Yuan's eyes. He was obviously furious and wanted to get the wolf spider, even if he had to shed all pretense of cordiality. The wine saint looked at Hong Dao Yuan coldly, the smell of wine in his mouth filling the air. He sneered and said, "Hong Dao Yuan, forget about the fact that you can't snatch away Su Fong's wolf spider. Even if you have the ability, you should know very well that it's destiny who can obtain such an ominous item like the wolf spider. You want to snatch Su Fong's fortune. Aren't you afraid of a calamity? You've mastered the great Tao of destiny. Don't tell me you can't even see this. Don't let your Tao heart be blinded by greed. You'll lose your life for nothing." Hong Dao Yuan felt like he had been hit in the head. The momentum he had been building up vanished instantly. It was not that Hong Dao Yuan did not understand what the wine saint was saying. It was just that his Tao heart was disrupted by the temptation of a heaven-defying treasure like the wolf spider. However, it was impossible for him to completely dismiss the idea. The hall fell into silence. Suddenly, Hong Dao Yuan raised his eyebrows and grabbed a rune talisman. After deciphering the message in the rune, Hong Dao Yuan's gaze changed instantly. His face turned pale as he shuddered uncontrollably. Then, BZT, BZT, BZT. The wine saint, supreme elder spring and autumn, great elder Changsun, as well as the experts of Dongxian and the other god realms, stirred from their bodies almost at the same time as they took out their rune talismans. Like Hong Dao Yuan, all the experts who received the message were shocked and surprised. Su Fong felt like the end of the world had arrived. Su Fong hurriedly transmitted his consciousness to the wine saint and asked, "Senior brother, what has happened?" The wine saint's previous wild and unrestrained manner was gone. His voice was solemn. "The other races have invaded the Yao race en masse. They have broken through the Yao race's world. A large number of Yao experts have entered the human race's southern mystic divine realm. There were many Yao races in the Jioshuan divine realm, but they were a minority. The Yao race had also opened up many Yao worlds in the chaos. Their overall strength was even stronger than the human race. However, the Yao race was savage and violent by nature. They had always been a sheet of loose sand. Although they were strong, they fought for themselves. There were also conflicts between the human race and the Yao race. However, both races had a common enemy, the other races. Therefore, they would often work together to deal with the other races. Now that the Yao race's world had been breached and the Yao race had fled into the human world, the impact on the human race could be imagined. Moreover, the Yao race had been defeated by the other races. It meant that the human race had lost a great support. They had to face the other races alone. The situation was naturally very grim. The wine saint continued. The other races have come with a ferocious momentum. They are clearly determined to conquer the Yao race and the human race. The southern mystic divine realm supreme being, Nin Xian Daozu, had already seen through the clues. He sent one of his avatars into the Yao race's world to investigate. In the end, he was killed by the other races. His main body was also heavily injured. Su Fang's heart was in turmoil. Daozu was a supreme existence at the peak of the human race. He had grasped the true essence of the great Tao and stood at the peak of the great Tao. He was almost immortal and indestructible. One of Nan Xian Daozu's avatars had died. It was clear how strong the other races were. The news has just spread, so the details are not clear yet. However, the Jiuquan divine realm will definitely fall into great turmoil. Your cultivation is too weak. Although it won't affect you for now, you will be affected soon. Su Fang, work hard to improve your strength. Once the other races completely conquer the Yao race, the human race will be next. Without strength, life is worthless. The wine saint sighed and took a big gulp of wine. He didn't say anything else. The experts left one after another. Hong Daoyuan didn't know if he was afraid or he didn't want to stay. Perhaps he had other plans. After leaving the palace, he quickly left Daoless City. The other experts also didn't want to stay in the heaven-forsaken desolate region. They all returned to their own factions. Su Fang flew out of the city lord's mansion and arrived at the Chamber of Commerce. He planned to rent a cave abode and break through to the middle level of Dao Lord. Then, he would enter the Blood Valley to train and improve his strength as quickly as possible. The human world was about to fall into chaos and even face destruction. At this time, strength was the most important thing. Su Fang was recognized by the people of the Chamber of Commerce. It immediately caused quite a stir. In the past, the experts of the Chamber of Commerce had offended Su Fang. Now, they took the opportunity to curry favor with Su Fang to make up for their relationship. They arranged the best cave abode for Su Fang. The cave abode was located at the peak of the mountain. Not only was it rich in spiritual qi and mystic world essence, but it also had a time array. The flow of time was 30 times faster than in the real world. Su Fang was quite satisfied with the arrangement of the Chamber of Commerce. He stayed in the cave abode. Junior brother Su Fang. The wine saint's thought flashed out from the void and turned into a human figure. I will leave the heaven-forsaken desolate region and return to Shixian. I came to say goodbye to you. The wine saint's figure nodded. Then, he waved his hand and took out 3 rune talismans. He rolled them towards Su Fang and said, "You lost the 6 extreme Dao, Saint Dharma body, and lost your life-saving means. These 3 rune talismans are formed by my Taoist rhyme, Dharmic power, and will. The power of each rune talisman is equivalent to my full strength attack. Take it." Su Fang put away the rune talismans. He was very happy. Little did he know, Xian Daozu's majestic voice suddenly came from Su Fang's body. "Meddlesome, Moss, Master." Chapter 28:08. A moment later, the wine saint's true body flew out of the sky. Surprisingly, there wasn't a trace of alcohol on his body. His messy hair had also become soft and smooth. He looked very handsome and extraordinary. Only the Daozu could scare a Dao Saint expert to this extent. The wine saint said shakily, "Master, you left a thought with junior brother Su Fang? This disciple does not dare." The wine saint hurriedly replied. In reality, he was muttering in his heart. Xian Daozu was treating this junior brother too well. Then, Xian Daozu's majestic voice came from Su Fang's body. "You only know how to drink and go crazy. Where's your decency? The Yao race world has been invaded by the foreign races. The Jiuquan god realm is in danger. Why are you not quickly returning to Xixian? Yes, master, the wine saint said respectfully, and then turned to leave. Su Fong suddenly said, Senior brother, wait. The wine saint said in surprise, What is it? Su Fong took out a xian guang from his palm. What was wrapped in it was a 7-colored blood lotus root. This is the 7-colored blood lotus root? Ha ha! This time the 7-colored blood lotus wine is finally available. Great! When the wine saint saw the 7-colored blood lotus root, he instantly revealed his true nature. He was so excited that he seemed to be drunk. His face was flushed red. At this moment, this 7-colored blood lotus root was far more important than any peerless technique or xian bao in the wine saint's mind. Xixian Daozu snorted coldly. This scared the wine saint so much that he trembled. He waved his hand and wrapped around the 7-colored blood lotus root. Little junior sect brother, senior sect brother will remember this great favor. When you come to Xixian, senior sect brother will definitely repay you. Farewell. The wine saint's figure flashed and then flew away. Su Fong stayed in the cave for 3 days. Then, he took out a rune talisman and transmitted his nascent spirit thought. Hui Tiannu, you once said in the Blood Valley that you wanted me to come out and establish my own force. Now, I have decided to establish my own force in the ancient Blue City. Is that true? Soon, Hui Tiannu's surprised voice came from the rune talisman. I'll leave this matter to you. I'll send someone to help you. Don't worry. As long as you raise your arm and call for help, who knows how many cultivators in the heaven-forsaken desolate region will flock to you. What's the name of the force you formed? Su Fong thought for a while and said, Let's call it Fong Tiancheng. The Jiushuan God's domain was about to fall into turmoil. Although the news had not spread and the heaven-forsaken desolate region had not been affected, Su Fong had to make preparations in advance. Not only did he have to increase his own strength, but he also had to increase the overall strength of the entire Jiushuan region. He ended the conversation with Hui Tiannu. Su Fong released Qin Heng, Wu Meng, Xin Tiancheng, the formation masters Wu, and nearly 3,000 experts from the Taoist Palace, and let them go to the ancient Blue City. They would be the core strength of his force. The ancestral Gragon was bored in Su Fong's Taoist Palace and wanted to go with him. Su Fong naturally did not stop him. Su Fong also specially gave the formation master Zhua a combined attack technique that could be performed by many cultivators, and let him teach it to the experts under his command so that they could practice it in the ancient Blue City. This combined attack technique was performed by Su Fong using the Heavenly Divination Solution and the Heavenly Divination Astrolabe. After countless formation deductions, the power of many cultivators, and the energy of heaven and earth. It was suitable for group attacks, and was somewhat similar to the sky-splitting formation that Su Fong taught to the mortals of the Gao tribe on the vast plains. After arranging his subordinates, Su Fong was silent for a moment. The heavenly Tao avatar condensed a thought and entered the inner space of the builder tree. Su Fong's father Su Yaotian, as well as Xuanxin and other relatives and friends, all lived on the top floor of the builder tree. They each had their own palace, and usually cultivated in the palace. Su Fong's thought appeared in Su Yaotian's palace, and Su Yaotian, who was cultivating, immediately sensed it. He opened his eyes and smiled. Fong, father. The shadow formed by Su Fong's thought knelt down and kowtowed to Su Yaotian. Su Yaotian looked at Su Fong, and his eyes were filled with gratification. Due to the limitation of his talent, it was difficult for Su Yaotian to have any achievements in cultivation. However, he had a son like Su Fong, so what else could he ask for in this life? Su Fong said, Father, we have received news of grandfather's soul. He is safe and sound now, and it won't be long before our family can reunite. Su Yaotian was surprised and happy. Is that true? Su Fong didn't explain too much to prevent Su Yaotian from worrying. After communicating with Su Yaotian for a while, the attentive Su Fong noticed that his father's deep eyes faintly revealed loneliness. After thinking carefully, Su Fong suddenly understood. Although Su Yaotian didn't lack anything now, he was still a living person after all. He wasn't very interested in cultivation. When he stayed in the universe inside the heavenly Tao Dharma body, everyone was respectful to him, but he lacked the life of a normal person. How could he not feel lonely? It's my negligence. Su Fong immediately released his thought and gathered Xian Yin Tian, Xian Lingzi, Luo, and the others, as well as the Su clansmen, Bai Ling, Qing Yu, Li Haojia, and the Lord of Five Poisons. Xuanqin was in the midst of breaking through to the Transcendence realm, so Su Fong didn't disturb her. Then, Su Fong released his heavenly Tao Dharma body and let it bring Su Yao Tian and the others out of the cave and into Taoist City. Except for Luo, Su Yao Tian and the others couldn't withstand the shackles of the Jiuquan divine realm and could only stay in Su Fong's universe. Su Fong displayed his divine might and let everyone see the bustling scene of Taoist City clearly. Just like that, Su Fong's heavenly Tao Dharma body casually strolled around Taoist City. Seeing the difference between the Jiuquan divine realm and the Pansong world, everyone was incomparably excited. When I have enough strength, I'll let all of them integrate into the Jiuquan divine realm. This way, their lives will be even more exciting. Su Fong's heavenly Tao Dharma body accompanied everyone and enjoyed this reunion with their loved ones. Inside the cave, Su Fong's physical body sensed this scene, and his eyes flashed with determination and certainty. I have to quickly become stronger before the calamity affects the Eastern Xian divine realm. Otherwise, once my life is in danger, all my family and friends in the heavenly Tao Dharma body and countless cultivators and big goblin transfer from the Pansong universe will be destroyed. I have to return to the Pansong universe as soon as possible to deal with the descent of the evil god. When I surpass the Tao Lord, I'll have the ability to bestow divine grace. This way, everyone can completely escape the shackles of the Pansong universe and not be implicated by the destruction of the Pansong universe. Su Fong entered the time formation with a sense of urgency that he had never felt before and began to settle into a state of cultivation. The cultivation technique that he was currently cultivating was still the Jiuquan's Wuji scripture. The Jiuquan's Wuji scripture was a mystery bestowed by the heavens and contained the supreme truth of the great Tao. It was the true path of seeking the truth. It was precisely because of the extraordinariness of the Jiuquan's Wuji scripture that Su Fong's cultivation was destined to be pondered and comprehended by himself. From the boundless heavenly Tao, he could only find his own path of seeking the truth. Therefore, his cultivation was doubly difficult. Su Fong persisted in cultivating the heavenly fate shrinking technique, the heavenly divination unravel, the extreme Tao black yang technique, the Tao of formation, and various other techniques and abilities. The Xianwang Dharma body wantonly devoured the 6 great spiritual items from the 6 extreme Tao saints' Dharma bodies and rapidly increased its strength. The Blood Fiend Dharma body continuously devoured Blood Fiend pills and Blood Fiend stones. However, in the world outside the Blood Valley, the Blood Fiend Dharma body speed of improvement was far slower than the other Dharma bodies. In addition, Su Fong placed great importance on the cultivation of the heaven-piercing Blood King vine seed. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine seed was indeed extraordinary. Not only could it bring great strength to Su Fong, it could also provide Su Fong with astonishing vitality. Naturally, Su Fong had to put in a lot of effort. However, it was not easy to improve the heaven-piercing Blood King vine seed. It needed to devour a large amount of spiritual items, especially the flesh of cultivators that contain vitality. Only then could it continue to transform. Su Fong had accumulated the flesh of many experts in the past, including the corpse of an expert who had surpassed the Tao Lord level. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine seed had devoured more than half of the corpse of an expert who had surpassed the Tao Lord level. However, the heaven-piercing Blood King vine seed did not change much. It could be seen how vast the vitality essence needed to improve the heaven-piercing Blood King vine seed was. However, Su Fong was not in a hurry. One could not become a fatty in one bite. He could only take it slow. The improvement of the primordial spirit Dharma body was astonishing. Su Fong's primordial spirit Dharma body was cultivated with the second primordial spirit as the foundation. The power of the primordial spirit was incomparably strong. While using the Luo Tian wheel to comprehend the formation, the primordial spirit Dharma body also had great benefits. Naturally, the improvement was astonishing. Only the purple fate Dharma body did not have a good way to improve. It had to rely on opportunities and fortuitous encounters. QL11 in the chrono formation, he continued to settle and accumulate, forgetting the passage of time. Unknowingly, 100,000 years had passed in the chrono formation. In the outside world, more than 3,000 years had passed. On this day, Su Fong suddenly leaped out of the formation. Immediately after, the primordial spirit Dharma body that had brought many relatives and friends to travel quickly passed through the formation and entered Su Fong's Tao Palace. At this time, Su Fong's body erupted with astonishing tribulation chi. He had broken through. Su Fong's expression was calm and composed. He had long expected this to happen. Continue to grow stronger. Breakthrough. Su Fong waited quietly for the breakthrough. He no longer cultivated, but tried to break through again to feel the transformation brought about by the breakthrough. The tribulation chi turned into flames, burning fiercely in the cave abode like a prairie fire. Tut, tut, tut. The breakthrough that was brewing in his body began to form an explosive impact. The familiar impurities in the placenta began to surge out. As Su Fong had fused with the heaven-piercing Blood King Rot-Tan's seed, his physical body had absorbed a large amount of chi of fetal origin. His life and physical body had become more profound and powerful. Therefore, there were not many impurities in the placenta of this breakthrough. After a wave of painful impact, the tribulation fire gradually disappeared. Su Fong's body emitted a peaceful and quiet spiritual light. His hair flickered with brilliance, and every cell in his body glowed with an incomparably powerful life force. It was not just his physical body. His Tao Palace, Dharma body, and Tao heart had all undergone a transformation.